won offices they normally win in deep blue cities and states. And so, 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Virginia, I know, well, we lost the governorship, Dan. Glenn Youngkin won 4 years ago, and now it's been turned over by a faux pragmatist named Abigail, to a faux pragmatist named Abigail Spanberger. Right. So that was a unique circumstance 4 years ago. For the first point, Donald Trump was in the White House. The second point, a more local one, this was a revolt of otherwise detestable, haughty, man-hating shrews in Loudoun and Fairfax County in Northern Virginia. Upset with the schools and upset with Terry McAuliffe, who's an old Clintonista and was sort of tone deaf to their concerns. And those women will be listened to, sir. And so they revolted against Terry McAuliffe. But Dan, they're identitarians. And so Winsome Sears, Jamaican immigrant, a woman of color. Yeah, that doesn't mean anything to identitarians. It only means something when it's useful to cover the fact that they're supporting people that are fellow travelers philosophically. I mean, if you have those otherwise laudable characteristics, but you're not a fellow traveler philosophically, then they have no use for you. Not to mention, Winsome Sears, you think she's really one of them? She served in the Marine Corps, for goodness sakes. You think she's a Chardonnay Antifa from Northern Virginia? No, of course not. And they know it too. So there was a regression to the mean, and the mean is Abigail Spanberger. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. I suggested that for many weeks that Mamdani was going to amass more votes than Cuomo and Sliwa combined, and that's what happened. Got over 50%. I told you yesterday, again, when you're the it girl of the institutional left, very difficult to beat. Which is why I assumed, some rich friends of Trump in Manhattan, please, Mr. President, won't you weigh in on this? So he did in the 11th hour to no great effect, except maybe pulling a few more voters off of Sliwa to Cuomo and sending a few more otherwise Trump voters home for those that even participated, which actually is about the only thing that's interesting once we start to delve into the numbers. Well, not the only thing. There's a couple things that are interesting. One is we delve into the numbers and we are going to find, I suspect, this nagging problem, which Trump actually pointed to, but not in the way that he pointed to it, that Trump wasn't on the ballot, so a lot of Trump voters didn't come out. Well, shame on Trump voters. And frankly, shame on Trump for somehow suggesting that's an attribute of his. The attribute, Mr. President, is if you would get your voters out to vote for other people that you would like to see elected. That shows real coattails. Otherwise, you're just sort of an Obama figure. You're good at getting yourself elected and not very good at getting anybody else elected, doesn't it? So I don't know why that he thinks that's spiking the football. It certainly is not. The other point I would raise, especially with respect to New York City, much like I tried to tell people in advance of Brandon Johnson's election in 2023, New York City is not the New York City that you grew up in. It is not the city that you think it is. The people who you think are there are not there. My friends that I told, I'm telling you right now, Brandon Johnson is going to beat Paul Vallis. You're crazy. Nobody I know is voting for Brandon Johnson. Well, get off of Rush Street and you may find that the city around the areas, the small enclaves you hang out, yeah, Brandon Johnson voters aren't hanging out at the Erie Cafe. I get it. But you're missing the bigger picture. And by the way, what did you think was going to happen? You cosmopolitan, metropolitan denizens in Chicagoland and New York. Because what's happened in New York is the same thing that happened in Chicago 2 years ago. What do you think was going to happen when you just admit that generation after generation, CPS is one of the worst government school systems in the Western Hemisphere, and they're moving. Well, they used to move 400,000 kids. Now it's more like 225 through that school system. And 12-year cycles. Most of whom can't read or do math or critically think. What did you think was going to happen to the city when they all get out and there's not much for most of them to do? What did you think was going to happen when you were sort of rolling your eyes and wringing your hands of the silliness of the candidates that preceded Brandon Johnson? Did you take a look at how the city council was changing over, where it wasn't just Democrats, it was Democrat socialists, and that's where all the energy was for the party? Did you not see what was going to happen when Madigan and Cullerton left the scene, when the machine was turned over to the identitarians? Well, they didn't see it in New York either. Not to mention, much more so in New York than in Chicago, but it's still an element. The percentage of foreign-born residents of New York and Chicago, to a lesser extent, has exploded over the last couple of generations. And when you look at the splits, like you looked at the splits in the New York City race, a supermajority of foreign-born, well, we'll have to look at the actual votes, but the polling leading into yesterday, a supermajority of foreign-born New York residents eligible to vote voted were supporting Mamdani. Native New Yorkers, American-born New Yorkers supporting Cuomo by 9 or 10 points. So there's all of these demographic dynamics, and then there's the sort of the overarching political, cultural dynamic. And this evaded the radar of the Bill Ackmans of the world, just like it evaded the radar of so many quote-unquote civic leaders and business titans in Chicago. So all we've seen is a repeat of what we've been seeing in big blue cities happen in New York last night. And of course it's getting more extreme, just like it went from Lori Lightfoot to Brandon Johnson, like it went from machine politicians to Democrat socialist members of the city council. Of course it's getting more extreme because that's what's getting rewarded. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line. Verlon in Michigan.
How you doing, Dan? It's a couple of things I want to shoot at you. Number one, I want to get your opinion on, since Obama got out there on the stump, and I believe it was a clean sweep, does he have his juice back, his mojo back, since everybody won?
No, he's irrelevant. He's at the back of the parade. He was there to try to stay relevant. I mean, thanks for the call, Verlon. These races were fait accomplis. I know we had some sort of outside hope for Chitterelli in New Jersey. And I think probably what you'll see there is, as I said, some of these underlying issues going against Trump nationally, visited upon Chitterelli locally, among independents that are swinging against the president when it comes to ICE enforcement, that are swinging against the president when it comes to cost of living. And rather than blame the particular dynamics in New Jersey, competing with Illinois for the highest property taxes, highest energy costs, all the things that Chitterelli ticked off, independents swung for the Dems, which, by the way, happens a lot in these races, in particular against the party in power in D.C. So that's a dynamic. And probably you didn't get the kind of Trump voter turnout that Chitterelli needed. Well, obviously you didn't. And maybe it was particularly, there was a particular enthusiasm gap. We'll have to see. But again, I mean, I love this. Somebody dragged these Democrats across the finish line. These are deep blue states and cities, for goodness sakes. By the way, in Texas, a ballot initiative barring non-citizens from voting passed 75-25. So, I mean, all you're seeing is essentially the two sides in the various states holding serve. So what is to, get particularly disturbed about? I mean, other than the fact that you have lost states like Virginia and New Jersey. And I know we say, well, well, Trump only lost Virginia, New Jersey by 6 points, and Chitterelli and Sears lost by double digits. Yeah, well, again, the general election turnout is a completely different animal. Trump is a unique presence, particularly among Trump voters. Kamala Harris was a particularly flawed candidate, and your competition matters, a la Glenn Youngkin versus Terry McAuliffe 4 years ago in Virginia. So there's a lot of dynamics that have much more to do with the outcomes than any sort of tectonic shift that occurred or anything that was out of the ordinary that shouldn't have been anticipated. The more interesting thing is, the sort of the future of Big Blue City America, which we've been talking about for years, given our, collective watching the disintegration of Chicago, and what this means for the Democrat Socialist Party going forward as it becomes a more and more formally neo-Marxist party. Maybe some silver linings there. We'll hear from the victorious candidates, particularly Mamdani, because here's a guy very much like AOC and the Socialist Spice Girls and KJP and Kamala. Don't ever go away. Please keep talking. Take more of your calls. 5:38. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. 55 degrees in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm John Cruz in the Starbucks newsroom. Sunny but windy today, a high of 58. At least 7 people killed, 11 injured in a fiery plane crash late Tuesday night in Louisville, Kentucky. Neighbors still being told to shelter in place. That plane, not servicing passengers or cargo, was taken off from UPS operations. An engine problem during takeoff is the initial cause, but the NTSB will be on site today. Police still looking for a pregnant Chicago teen considered high risk. 15-year-old Tamara Thompson, last seen Wednesday on the city's south side. Thompson is a 5'7" African-American girl with black hair, brown eyes. Last spotted wearing a red jacket, white shirt, blue and white Nikes. Anyone who knows Thompson's whereabouts asked to call 911. And students at a suburban Chicago high school will finish the week with remote learning after a car crashes into their school. This happened late Tuesday at Burbank's St. Lawrence High School. No injuries reported. As classes were out for the day, the district determined remote learning would be the best option. The investigation there continues. This report sponsored by Starbucks. The pumpkin spice latte is back at Starbucks. Handcrafted with their signature espresso and real pumpkin sauce. Then topped with whipped cream, cinnamon, and nutmeg. PSL, get it while it's hot or iced, only at Starbucks. I'll check out your weather coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Scott Jennings explains the impact of the shutdown.
House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries said that he is opposing a Senate Republican bill to extend pay to the troops and to some federal workers during the shutdown, all to appease a radical left-wing base. It is pathetic political theater.
The Scott Jennings Show. Weekdays at 1, right before Hugh Hewitt at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Dan owed an unbelievable amount of money to the IRS.
I got behind on my taxes. It's a horrible feeling.
He was in denial.
And when I got those letters from the IRS, you wanted to act like they didn't exist.
Finally, Dan turned to Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima got me a settlement with the IRS. These people are really people-friendly. It was every bit of a new lease on life for me.
The fast action and the great results made Dan's head spin.
I felt like I was in a dream, but it's real, and I have paperwork to prove it. They got the job done, and life is good.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation.
If you're worried about what's going to happen with the IRS, stop worrying. Make the call now.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Anthony and John here from Bionic Auto Parts, proud clients of Signature Bank. We deliver high-quality, recycled and remanufactured auto parts to Chicago and Milwaukee. Our mission is simple: provide parts safely, reliably, with great customer satisfaction.
We process over 350 vehicles a month. With big banks, everything took forever. Layers of approvals and endless delays. At Signature Bank, one call got it done. Whether it's lending, deposits, or treasury management, they deliver fast. Signature Bank made us feel like family. That's a partnership we deeply appreciate.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Call Signature Bank at 773-467-5600 or visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Protect your liver and give it the support it deserves with Active Liver from New Nordic. Find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS, Meijer Grocery, or online at Amazon or at newnordicusa.com.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will be partly to mostly sunny with increasing winds reaching a high of 60. Tonight, expect clear skies and colder temperatures dropping to a low of 36. Tomorrow, anticipate sun shining through high clouds with a high of 58. Friday may see a shower in spots early, then a mix of clouds and breaks of sun with a high of 63. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Get your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago 2025, featuring Dr. Ben Carson, Scott Jennings, Mike Gallagher, and many more. Get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft, pouring over the election results from last night. Some still pending. Omar Fattah is going to a second, third ballot. You know, they've got that ranked choice voting in Mogadishu, Minnesota. So Fry, the dink who kneeled, wept before the George Floyd funeral, before the George Floyd coffin at his basically state level funeral, and then Omar Fattah, who's one of these Somali first politicians in Mogadishu, Minnesota. 42-32, and now they start eliminating other candidates on the ballot and start counting second choices until you get to somebody who wins. So that's very much in doubt. Fry is leading, but it's still an open question. So you Fattah and Mamdani, he's the Midwest Mamdani, could see that happen. And Fry is, basically a Fattah Mamdani pantomime artist. I mean, he's not any better. Sort of the conversation we were having about Cuomo and Mamdani in the days leading up to the election. And then all the way in the Pacific Northwest in Seattle, Wilson versus Harrell, that's also in doubt. Maybe just, I think, because the Eastern press votes hadn't been started counting until late in the night for us in the East and Midwest. So we'll watch that as well. But again, you're talking about somebody who pretends to be slightly more moderate than a out and proud Democrat socialist, which is to say neo-Marxist. So, you're talking about parameters that are approximately the eye of a needle. A distinction without much of a difference. And that's what you would expect from cities we've been watching for the better part of the last decade, disintegrating before our very eyes, including Chicago. So why the surprise in some quarters that are expressing surprise or are suggesting that this means Trump needs to pivot? Bill O'Reilly said something apparently to this effect. He's going to talk to Trump when he sees him in a couple days about the way that ICE is going about enforcing immigration law, because that really hurt Republican candidates yesterday. Really? We'll get to that. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Let's hear from some of the victors. They're feeling their oats when they open with a Eugene V. Debs observation.
Sun may have set over our city this evening. But as Eugene Debs once said, I can see the dawn of a better day for humanity.
Yeah, unfortunately, back 100 years ago, the good people of America were smart enough to not embrace Eugene V. Debs, the perennial socialist candidate for president in the early part of the 20th century. And then, of course, you have to check the identity box, and Mamdani did that.
After all, the conventional wisdom would tell you that I am far from the perfect candidate. I am young, despite my best efforts to grow older. I am Muslim. I am a democratic socialist. And most damning of all, I refuse to apologize for any of this.
Yeah, he's more of a fanonist, but we'll get to that analysis. I tell you, I appreciate that. I appreciate the candor. I appreciate the candor that he doesn't use these words, but he's a lot more honest than most of these politicians who pursue the very same policies that he wants to pursue. I appreciate that he says, look, I'm a revolutionary Marxist. That's what he's saying, because that's what he is. Great. Now we know. And now people can make their choice. Let's everybody put their cards on the table and let's, look at the hands. Yeah. The policy choices tell the tale, not the marketing. And so last night was a victory for the good hands people. Move over Allstate. The good hands people are finally in charge in New York City.
For as long as we can remember, the working people of New York have been told by the wealthy and the well-connected that power does not belong in their hands. Fingers bruised from lifting boxes on the warehouse floor, palms calloused from delivery bike handlebars, knuckles scarred with kitchen burns. These are not hands that have been allowed to hold power. And yet, over the last 12 months, you have dared to reach for something greater. Tonight, against all odds, we have grasped it. The future is in our hands. My friends, we have toppled a political dynasty. I wish Andrew Cuomo only the best in private life. But let tonight be the final time I utter his name as we turn the page on a politics that abandons the many and answers only to the few.
Not exactly workers of the world unite, you have nothing to lose but your chains, but a fair approximation. I'll tell you, if only factory workers and delivery bike riders or drivers and kitchen workers, restaurant workers, and so forth, if only they were actually in charge. In big city America, I'm 100% in the Bill Buckley camp. Frankly, in this country, I'm 100% in the Bill Buckley camp, which is, I'd rather be ruled by the first 1,000 people in the Boston telephone book than the entire faculty at Harvard. So, I'm sympathetic to those demographics, professional demographics Mamdani is talking about, but it's just not true what he's saying. That's the only problem with it. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Corey Woodlawn.
Morning, Dan. The sad part about this is that the entrepreneur, the business owner, the homeowner, he's done in these cities. That's who they're coming after. We don't have armies to fight. We can't stop these guys from passing legislation to put our properties and put our businesses in jeopardy. And that's who's going to lose. The big guys, they're going to fight. They've got lawyers. The little guys, we have no chance. We got to sell everything we have and get out of here. Because Marxism and socialism never ends well for the little guy. Thanks.
100%, Corey. 100%. Well, that's exactly where I was going. And, of course, Corey was ahead of me, as he is usually. That's exactly right. Yeah, I'm for the little guy. I'm for the restaurant worker and the factory worker and the delivery driver and so forth. No, you're not. And I think a lot of those folks, no, you're not. But they're outnumbered by a lot of people who are over-credentialed and underemployed, particularly in their mind in terms of what they believe they're entitled to. I think you're those people that are working, an honest 40 to 60 to 70 hour work week are overrun by people that are not employed at all and have a sense of what they're entitled to at other people's expense. I think you're overrun those individuals that Mamdani proposes to represent, overrun by people, of the noblesse oblige dilettante variety that are completely insulated from the consequences of what they think are fashionable policy positions. So, woe, frankly, to the factory worker and the delivery driver and the restaurant worker that Mamdani mentioned. And certainly to the small business owner, the property owner that has a 2-flat or a 3-flat as investment income. Time to go. Joe in Naperville.
Yeah, my prediction is the left's going to, and the media left, same thing, is going to use these elections saying that this is a repudiation of Trump's policies and Trump, and they're going to run with that to the midterms. And my biggest fear, Dan, is they're going to win the midterms, and all hell's going to break loose. In regards to Mamdani saying that the future's in his hands, when the immortal words of Ronald Reagan, that I'm selling my bonds.
Right. Yes. If you're our future, I'm selling my bonds. That was to a bunch of college students. He sent that message. That was brilliant. Probably a good idea. Shorting New York City at this moment. Are they going to use it as a opportunity to repudiate Trump and to suggest the results were repudiation of Trump? Of course they are. Mamdani spent a good amount of time in his heartily unifying victory speech doing just that.
If anyone can show a nation betrayed by Donald Trump how to defeat him, it is the city that gave rise to him. And if there is any way to terrify a despot, it is by dismantling the very conditions that allowed him to accumulate power. This is not only how we stop Trump, it's how we stop the next one. So, Donald Trump, since I know you're watching, I have 4 words for you. Turn the volume up. We will hold bad landlords to account because the Donald Trumps of our city have grown far too comfortable taking advantage of their tenants. We will put an end to the culture of corruption that has allowed billionaires like Trump to evade taxation and exploit tax breaks. We will stand alongside unions and expand labor protections because we know, just as Donald Trump does, that when working people have ironclad rights, the bosses who seek to extort them become very small indeed. New York will remain a city of immigrants, a city built by immigrants, powered by immigrants, and as of tonight, led by an immigrant.
Got the message? Is that clear enough? Wealthy people are tax cheats. Landlords cheat their renters. And business owners extort their employees. It's tax cheats and slumlords and extortionists. That's how he's described successful people, property owners, and business owners. Any questions? Anybody have any questions? And then there was this line. I mean, you want to talk about a tell.
We will prove that there is no problem too large for government to solve and no concern too small for it to care about.
Yeah. That is the definition of overarching, frankly, totalitarian government. No problem too big, no concern too small. Government, everything, everywhere, all the time. Again, I appreciate his candor. And I know that parallel structure is a great applause line for his audience at his victory rally. But for anybody listening that has the ability to attach meaning to words, wow, that's a statement, isn't it? Nate in Schiller Park.
Hey, Dan, good morning. So now that the mayor race has been decided in New York, and that's great, I think that maybe it's time for Trump to send ICE in and literally round up every single illegal immigrant inside of New York City, deport all of them, and then let the rest of the people in New York City figure it out.
Thanks for the call, Nate. Operation Empire Blitz to complement Operation Midway Blitz. Sarah in Glenview.
Yeah, hi. I'm concerned about how much illegal foreign money was funneled into these elections. Kind of like CARE.
Yeah, that's a good question. We raised that yesterday. Thanks for the call, Sarah. I don't think that election authorities in New York City or state are going to be very concerned about that. By the way, Alvin Bragg reelected easily. So I don't think you're going to see much scrutiny there at the state or local level in New York City. But Linda Sarsour, who is a terror-sympathizing Palestinian first activist in New York, she said, can't wait for November 4th and now November 5th at the after election, now that the after party is subsiding. Linda Sarsour was going to tell the story of how Mamdani's campaign was largely funded by high net worth Muslim Americans, as well as PACs that were primarily funded by Muslim Americans associated with CARE. She made the CARE reference, actually. I've got the clip. We played it yesterday. So, yeah, I'm all ears. Somebody get Linda Sarsour a microphone and let's hear the story. I want to hear it. David in Winnetka. Hey, David.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay. So I'm not shocked at the outcome. I mean, none of us are. And I actually agree with the socialist, revolutionary socialist scumbag on one thing, but never having to hear Cuomo's name again. But my question to you is how many, I can't believe Cuomo got so many votes. And do you think all those votes were coming in simply because Americans wanted American? You know, they didn't want a revolutionary scumbag in charge? Was that why Cuomo was getting that many votes?
Yeah, thanks for the call. I mean, I think, David, that the position was like, yeah, even if basically what Trump posted on Truth Social, even if you don't like the guy, a bad Democrat is worse than a bad socialist, or words to that effect. So, you know, Andrew Cuomo is less worse. And so that's the play. And this was the argument that Trump made in the closing hours. This is the argument that folks like Bill Ackman, but not only, most notably, but Katsimides and others were making this argument, trying to get Sliwa out of the race for weeks, trying to push Sliwa voters off Sliwa to Cuomo. And some of that did happen, but to no effect. It was done. I mean, this race was done weeks ago. And there was an 11th hour bum rush to try to salvage it with Cuomo. It was a Hail Mary. And, Hail Marys have a low success rate. Gabby in Schaumburg.
Hey, Dan. So much to say. Shame on Trump for coming out last minute. Cuomo didn't bring the energy, and I don't think ICE should go into New York at all. In fact, I think we should import more immigration into his city and into his state and let him eat off that plate. Bombard him with more migrants. And that's all I have to say, Dan.
Thanks for the call, Gabby. Yeah, somebody get Governors Abbott and DeSantis on the blower, right? The only problem is you don't have too many new ones illegally crossing the border because we've secured the border under this president. So now it's, I guess, rounding up people illegally that are spread across the fruited plains and sending them all to New York. I don't know about that. I think probably the better play is to remove people in this country illegally. But I hear what you're saying. Give them what they want, good and hard. I get that. I get the message. Robert Bloomingdale. Robert's gone. Okay. Tom and Oswego.
Good morning, Dan. Dan, I'm a 65-year-old businessman, and I consider myself fairly successful. My question is, and last night's results didn't surprise me. It went about the way I thought it would. I think what surprised or bothers me is this thinking that they have in New York that voted for this guy. What's going to be left for the bicycle peddler, the warehouse man, the waitress? What is left to aspire to if they want to tear the rest of us down? And socialism, all it does is spread misery evenly. Now, I have 3 adult children that are professionals. They're very well educated. I can see and hear the despair in their voice, not just with this election, but with the way the country's going. Why are they working so hard? They're not going to be able to get a house, and they make good money. And it's really disappointing for me because, you know what, I can survive and I can move and we can sell our house and live comfortably, but it's my children. They're the ones that I'm really thinking about for the next 5, 10, 20 years. That's what scares me. And
yeah. Thanks for the call, Tom. Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, that's don't think that's not a conversation that a lot of New York City denizens are having this morning. And all I can say is if your kids are not in college yet, send them to an SEC school. And if they, and then they'll get a job in one of these red states that is booming, or, have them consider moving away from metropolitan areas that are committing economic, cultural, intellectual suicide. I mean, I don't know. I applaud those who stay and fight, and as long as you're in one of these metropolitan areas, you might as well put in the fight. And you also can put in the fight from outside. But Bill Ackman, I don't think, is a New York City resident anymore. Donald Trump certainly isn't. So you can always put in the fight from outside, too, in other ways. And their cities are worth fighting for. I don't want to see Chicago disintegrate. But I also don't know that you should just sort of take the wanton punishment. I don't know that if you don't have to. There are higher, better uses for people's resources if you can deploy them elsewhere. So there's a moral component to that as well. We'll continue this conversation at 6:06, and I want to get to Michael on the South Side in particular about Jay Jones winning the AG's race in Virginia, because that's an important result, too. It is now 6 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
The candidates claim victory. I'm Kathleen Maloney, Fox News. New York City Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani pledging to stand up to the president.
If anyone can show a nation betrayed by Donald Trump how to defeat him, it is the city that gave rise to him.
Fox's CB Cotton has more on New York City's mayoral race.
His closest competitor in the polls, former Governor Andrew Cuomo, called his own run, quote, the right fight to wage. Cuomo, who had President Trump's last-minute endorsement, narrowed the gap in the final days of campaigning, but it was not enough. Republican candidate Curtis Sliwa remained a distant third for most of the race. Last night when he conceded, he said if socialism is implemented, quote, we will become become the mayor-elect and his supporters' worst enemy.
Mamdani's agenda includes free public transportation and a rent freeze. A Democrat takes back Virginia.
Former Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger said she knows she'll have a hard job as Virginia's governor and showed her gratitude to the voters.
Thank you for showing up in every corner of Virginia. Thank you for diving deep on policy.
The woman she defeated, Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earl Sears, also expressed gratitude for the opportunity Virginians gave her 4 years ago.
You believed in me, you who voted for me and who worked so hard to make our dream for Virginia come true.
Spanberger will work with slim Democratic majorities in her state's legislature, which she hopes will grow in next year's midterms. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
Another Democrat wins in New Jersey, where Mikey Sherrill claims victory in the governor's race.
This was a tough fight, and this is a tough state. But I know you, New Jersey, and I love you.
Her opponent, Jack Ciattarelli, had the backing of President Trump. America is listening to Fox News.
Good morning. 55 degrees in Chicago and AM 560 The Answer. I am John Cruz in the Quick Delivery Newsroom. We'll see a mix of sun with clouds today, high of 59 degrees, gusty winds in the afternoon. 19 people looking for a place to stay after a massive Northwest Side fire. Now, this happened late Tuesday at a home off Troy Street. At one point, police had to shut down several streets around the area due to smoke. Dozens of firefighters finally got the blaze under control late Tuesday night. Several families lost not only possessions, but legal documents in the midst of immigration enforcement in the city. Police investigating after 2 people were found dead in a car in northwest suburban Crystal Lake. Authorities say officers responded early this morning to reports of 2 people asleep in a vehicle in the 700 block of Coventry Lane. A woman in her 20s and a 32-year-old man were found unresponsive with no clear signs of injury. Both people were pronounced dead at the scene. Chicago Transit Authorities says they're getting tens of thousands of smoking complaints. CTA leaders say they received 14,000 email complaints through the agency's chat box over a 14-month period. The most issues on the Red Line with over 5,500 smoking complaints. Chicago Mayor Johnson's choice for the city's arts and cultural leader is out. The Chicago Tribune reporting that Department of Cultural Affairs and Special Events Commissioner Clinny Hedspeth resigned days after she left the mayor's office, receiving an HR investigation that showed she violated ethnic, age-based, and sexual harassment rules. Now, Hedspeth denies the accusations. Reports say several employees accused her of bullying. She has been placed on the city's do not hire list. And the Champaign Township supervisor is stepping down this month. Kyle Patterson announcing he's resigning last night, citing health reasons. His resignation will take effect November 18th. When the township board is set to vote on accepting it, the township must appoint a new supervisor within 60 days. This news update quickly delivered by Quick Delivery Service. For reliable same-day delivery, Quick Delivery will customize a logistics plan to pick up your items and move them safely to their destination. Trust their 40 years of experience for peace of mind. Get a quote at quickdelivery.com. A check of traffic coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Get your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago 2025, happening on Saturday, November 8th at Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. This year, featuring Dr. Ben Carson, Scott Jennings, Mike Gallagher, along with Dan Proft, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, and many more. This event will sell out fast, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by True Power Generator Service, Woodland Windows and Doors, and by Moms for Liberty.
Hello, this is Alistair Begg. In September of 2026, I'll be teaching the Bible as we cruise through the Norwegian fjords. I'd love for you to join me. Call 855-565-5519 or visit deeperfaithcruise.com.
Fearless conversations and sharp analysis of the stories that matter. It's the Aaron Mullins Show, now available on the Salem Podcast Network.
I do find it a little bit off-putting when someone has a history of calling others out for being complicit via their silence to then occupy that space themselves. The hypocrisy is the issue I have.
The Aaron Mullins Show on the Salem Podcast Network. Subscribe today on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or at salempodcastnetwork.com.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Ever wonder why the big wireless companies want you on an unlimited plan? It's because they need you to help cover the cost of the 20-somethings who are using a lot of data every month. Fact is, according to the latest research studies, most people 50 and up, like me, only use 12 gigs or less each month. Don't get bamboozled by big wireless. At Consumer Cellular, pick what suits your needs. Whether it's 1 gig, 5, 10, or unlimited, the point is, pay for exactly what you need and nothing more. We use the same towers as the big guys, but since we don't own and maintain them, we can pass the savings on to you. Our plans start at just $20 a month, and you'll get the best customer service in the business. I want to invite you to join the millions of people who choose something better than big wireless, because if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
I've been screwing up all the chores at home.
Hey, we all make mistakes.
But darn it, my wife still isn't mad at me.
You want her to be mad?
Yeah, so I can sleep on the James sofa from Penny Mustard.
With the extra deep seats.
And ultra high density foam cushions.
You're messing up on purpose so you can sleep on the James sofa?
I gotta admit, it's a pretty good plan.
The James sofa, starting at $22.96 at Penny Mustard.
7 Chicagoland showrooms.
PennyMustard.com.
Better versions of what people want.
Wealth Health Radio. The biggest fears that people have is, do I have enough money to retire?
Retirement doesn't have to be complicated.
To make sure that you're going through retirement with confidence.
Learn principles of income planning.
There's a lot of different facets that you need to take into consideration when you're retiring.
Tune into Wealth Health Radio with Joe Murphy, noon to 1 p.m. Sundays on AM 560, The Answer.
Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. In great shape both ways on the Eden from Lake Cook to Montrose. Inbound is 14, outbound is 13. No major slowdowns on the Kennedy. Inbound from O'Hare to the Byrne Interchange, 17 minutes. Outbound is 21. The Eisenhower also looks good in both directions. Inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office is 13 minutes. Outbound is 14. The Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore is 20 minutes. Outbound is 16. And the Dan Ryan from 95th to the Byrne Interchange is 15 minutes. Outbound looks good at 11. We are slow on the northbound Tri-State between the Stevenson and Ogden Avenue. And then watch out for some fire department activity on the south side. And that's on Halsted Street, southbound between 76th Street and 79th Street. Traffic is a service of Fox Valley Coins. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be partly to mostly sunny with increasing winds reaching a high of 60. Tonight, expect clear skies and colder temperatures dropping to a low of 36. Tomorrow, anticipate sun shining through high clouds with a high of 58. Friday may see a shower in spots early, then a mix of clouds and breaks of sun with a high of 63. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldilocks, offering smart security systems to homes and businesses. Call Goldilocks at 708-889-5600.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Spent most of last hour talking generally about the results yesterday and then a bit of a focus on New York City, yeah. And the election of Mamdani. Let's fold in Virginia and New Jersey, shall we? I don't want to leave the Mercedes Marxists that have ascended to the governor's mansions in those two states out of the conversation. Oh, I know the marketing done by the D.C. press for Abigail Spanberger is moderate pragmatists. That's sort of what she went with in her victory speech.
We sent a message to every corner of the Commonwealth, a message to our neighbors and our fellow Americans across the country. We sent a message to the whole world that in 2025, Virginia chose pragmatism over partisanship. We chose our Commonwealth over chaos. You all chose leadership that will focus relentlessly on what matters most: lowering costs, keeping our communities safe, and strengthening our economy for every Virginian.
Yeah, the boilerplate pablum you see on virtually every politician's walk card. So inspired, and that's what makes the Chardonnay Antifa in Loudoun and Fairfax counties swoon, of course. In fact, just a quick rundown. Abigail Spanberger voted no on the Laken Riley Act. She voted no to Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act. She co-sponsored a bill that would have ended right to work nationally. She's in favor of assisted suicide. She opposes voter ID laws. She said she won't stop schools from allowing men into the girls' locker rooms and bathrooms. And she just was, vomiting all over herself every time that question came up in an interview. We played some of her tortured 4-minute long convoluted answers to these questions, trying to run away from it. And she, opposes mandatory minimum sentences for violent criminals and all, and on down the line. Hardly a pragmatist. Another company person for the neo-Marxist party. And that's what you'll see, because that has what has been supported. But of course, in Virginia, it wasn't just Spanberger. It was most notably Jay Jones, candidate for Attorney General. Michael, Southside, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, Dan. Thank you for taking my call. As usual, you were on point. The races across the country pretty much went as expected.
The heavy favorites won. Who could have predicted that? Yeah, okay, go ahead, Michael.
That said, the Jay Jones election victory was a jaw dropper. The fact that he won despite his hateful texts about political violence suggests that the Democrats have now, the Democratic voters have reached a new low. And that, quite frankly, scares me.
Thanks for the call, Michael. Text from 508, independent voter from Massachusetts here. I tune in most mornings, and today again, you're hitting the nail right on the head with your no BS analysis. Thank you very much. One question, do you think that without early voting, the Attorney General's race in Virginia would have turned out differently? Well, I think the last I saw, the spread was only a point between Mieres and Jay Jones. Jay Jones has been declared the victor and so forth. But I'm just saying the spread was in a 15-point spread at the statewide level for governor. They're both statewide offices, but at the statewide level for governor, 15-point spread. Statewide level for Attorney General, 1-point spread. Big difference. A lot of that had to do with, this.
Gilbert gets 2 bullets to the head.
Viewer discretion is advised.
Democrat Jay Jones wants to be Virginia's next Attorney General. The following are his own words about Republican Todd Gilbert, read from his leaked text messages.
I will go to their funerals to on their graves, send them out awash in something.
Jay Jones.
3 people, 2 bullets. Gilbert, Hitler, and Pol Pot. Gilbert gets 2 bullets to the head. Spoiler, put Gilbert in the crew with the 2 worst people you know, and he receives both bullets every time.
Jay, please stop.
LOL, okay.
You were talking about wishing Jennifer Gilbert's children would die.
Yes, I've told you this before. Only when people feel pain personally do they move on policy.
Democrats have yet to condemn Jones's remarks. Some are even still voicing support for his campaign.
All. Tim Kaine, when this controversy broke, when these text messages got leaked. Tim Kaine.
Do you think Jay Jones should drop out of the race in Virginia?
Jay has apologized. The statements that he made were indefensible, but I've known Jay Jones for 25 years. I think those statements were not in character, and he has apologized. I wish other people in public life would sincerely apologize for stuff. So, no, I still am a supporter.
Yeah, the suburban dad on the down low there, Tim Kaine. He Jay Jones is actually the model. Not only should he not resign, he's the model. I wish more politicians, more people in public life would be as stand up as Jay Jones to apologize for wishing death on their opponent's kids. I mean, some have refused to call for him to resign. Of course they propped him up. That's what they do. Not only prop him up, they don't apologize. You should apologize for even suggesting that he leave the race because he's such a stand-up guy. I mean, yeah, obviously. There's nothing they can say that is disqualifying, and virtually nothing they can do in their own minds, according to their own standards, which shift based on what is politically expedient. What were they going to do? Knock Jay Jones out of the race with a month to go and then try to bootstrap a new candidate? That's not going to work. Might as well stick with this guy, ride it out, and we'll run the old moral indignation play. You know, it's unfortunate. Of course, I would never support those things that he said. I really don't care. Subtext, I really don't care. But let me tell you what a stand-up guy is. He apologized, and more people should be like him. How do you like that? How's that for some spin doctoring? And so Jay Jones won. Did it hurt him? Sure. So to the texter's question, if early voting, without early voting, would Jay Jones have won? Probably not, actually. Because early voting in Virginia started 6 weeks out, September 19th. This story didn't break until, I think, the first week of October, roughly speaking. So would 10 fewer days of early voting changed a one-point race? Quite possibly. That's another sort of issue about early voting is things happen in the last 6 weeks of a campaign that can inform people's votes. Things do break late because so many people don't pay attention until late. So it's complicated to try to message these campaigns. And when you get stuff out, you want to get stuff out so that it informs people's views, but you don't want to get it out too early such that they forget about it and it no longer informs their views because other things intercede. It's you know, it's complicated. But this early voting, 6 weeks of early voting, of course, is utter silliness. Did it save Jay Jones? May very well have. But the larger issue of, generally speaking, do Democrats care about threats of violence, even acts of violence? Some do. And you can measure it. This is actually an interesting case study. You can measure it looking at the delta between Spanberger and Jones in terms of their vote totals. But if you thought this was just, you know, a few knuckleheads at No Kings rallies who are fine with the rhetoric and fine even with the action in furtherance of the rhetoric, then you're woefully underestimating how large the percentage of the left is who supports the kind of rhetoric and the kind of political violence as the means to political ends that we have seen on display. Vastly underestimating it if you think it's just a handful of one-offs. I mean, one of the most popular, you know, we're policing ourselves. We had this whole conversation yesterday about people like Nick Fuentes and others that are platforming ignorance and, in some cases, violence and recasting history. We're trying to police ourselves, people that characterize themselves as men on the right or women on the right, conspiracy theorists and cranks. You're not a conservative. You're not a Christian nationalist. You're not even a Christian with some of the things that you're saying. We had this whole conversation. You think the other side is doing that? One of the most popular podcasts, we talked about this quite a length in the wake of the Charlie Kirk assassination, and we still have to talk about it. Hassan Piker is one of the most popular podcast Game Boys of the left.
I'm sick and tired of it. Left-wingers, liberals, you need to be f***ing showing your opponent's guts on there, okay? You need to be gutting them. You need to be shanking these and letting their intestines just ride on stage.
Jennifer Welch also a popular leftist podcaster, celebrating Charlie Kirk's assassination at the No Kings rallies the other weekend.
Finally, if you think the Zoran thing is happening just in New York and you think people are waking up only in New York City, you're mistaken. Look at this clip of a wine mom at the No Kings March. Play the clip.
His name was?
Charlie Kirk, ma'am?
Yeah, him is horrible. Horrible.
Charlie Kirk is horrible?
Yes, I'm glad he's not here.
You're glad he's dead?
Yes.
Why would you say something like that, ma'am?
Because he was horrible on the campuses, the college campuses. Horrible person.
You know what? I do the exact same thing.
Well,
would you be glad if I would die?
Maybe. I'd have to think about it.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Your friend just said she'd be happy if I died.
I think we need to...
So listen up, Democratic establishment. You can either jump on board with this or we're coming after you in the same way that we come after MAGA. Period. Stop.
U.S. Senator Chris Murphy from Connecticut.
Like we're in a war right now to save this country, and so you have to be willing to do whatever is necessary in order to save the country.
By any means necessary. Modern day Black Panther Chris Murphy. Maxine Waters, Nancy Pelosi.
I will go and take Trump out tonight. And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
And sadly, the domestic enemies to our voting system and our honoring our Constitution are right at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
They're not going to stop before Election Day in November.
Nancy Pelosi just the other day on CNN.
He's just a vile creature. The worst thing on the face of the earth. But anyway.
You think he's the worst thing on the face of the earth?
I do, yeah. I do.
Why is that?
Because he's the President of the United States and he does not honor the Constitution of the United States. In fact, he's turned the Supreme Court into a rogue court. He's abolished the House of Representatives. He's chilled.
Gavin Newsom.
I'm sorry. I know some people's sensibilities. I respect and appreciate that. But right now, with all due respect, we're walking down a damn different path. We're fighting fire with fire, and we're going to punch these sons of in the mouth.
And I'm sorry, and you're surprised that most Democrats were able to look past Jay Jones's texts, I should say? I think everybody needs to take real stock here of the percentages. We talked about it last week with the survey results about the number of Illinois Democrats that see violence against ICE officers, violence against people they disagree with as legitimate. We've talked about it on college campuses, the percentage of undergrads who think that blocking entrance to a speaker's event, if you disagree with the speaker's views, even engaging in violence on campus is acceptable if you disagree with the opinion. Without going into the numbers again, you have, depending on the target and depending on the method of violence, pluralities to majorities. The examples abound. Here's a new one, just in time. There is a woman who is running in Helena, Montana, for the city commission there. She is not a fan of newly minted Republican Senator Tim Sheehy of Montana. And so she called and left a voicemail message at his office. Are you ready for this? Haley McKnight, a young-ish honky chick in Montana, running for the city commission in Helena. And this is the message she leaves to a United States senator.
Hi, this is Haley McKnight. I'm a constituent in Helena, Montana, and I just wanted to let you know that you are the most insufferable kind of coward and thief. You just stripped away health care for 17 million Americans, and I hope you're really proud of that. I hope that one day you get pancreatic cancer and it spreads throughout your body so fast that they can't even treat you for it. I hope that you die in the street like a dog. One day you're going to live to regret this. I hope that your children never forgive you. I hope that you are infertile. I hope you never manage to get a boner ever again. You are the worst piece of I've ever had the misfortune of looking at. And you don't serve Montanans. You serve your own private interests. All that you have done since you've gotten into power is do for yourself. God forbid that you ever meet me on the streets, because I will make you regret it. You. I hope you die.
She sounds reasonable. How do we forge middle ground with Haley McKnight running for the city commission in the capital city in Montana? Let's find common ground. How should we go about doing that? Right? Seriously. Tom in Cherville.
Yeah, we've come a long way since 19 years ago when George Allen lost his Senate seat in 2006 simply because of one word, Mukaka.
Yeah, right.
And then Colorado.
Just Virginia, right? I mean, again, Glenn Youngkin was a bit of a black swan event in terms of the trajectory of Virginia. I mean, who are the two senators? Tim Kaine and Mark Warner. Right. And I know that the House of Delegates has been close and so on and so forth. So there are moments. But I mean, generally speaking, the move for a couple of generations has been decidedly left, to your point.
Right. In Colorado, the same thing, because George W. Bush won Colorado in 2004, but shortly thereafter, it went blue.
Thanks for the call, Tom. Yeah, states move around. I'm old enough to remember when Pete Wilson was the governor of California. And was a pretty hardliner on illegal immigration, I recall. Got him in some trouble there. Kevin, Austin, Texas.
Good morning, Dan. Thanks for the call. So, tactically speaking, what do Illinoisans, so the guy who's a small business owner, listen to you now, what do they need to do to kind of push back against Brandon Johnson, Champagne Socialists, which I think Ben Burke, or Ben, what's his name, trying to take people. I think you're the one that coined that phrase. But what do people need to do to fight that in Illinois? How do they need to organize, tactically speaking? Where does money need to go?
Thanks for the call, Kevin. Well, let me give you an example of what you can do, to save the world, to save New York City from Mamdani. Well, okay, let's be realistic. I say this all the time, and it sounds cliched, mainly because I say this all the time. But I mean, before you're gonna save the state, well, why don't you make an impact on your school board or your city council? Why don't you make sure your local Haley McKnight doesn't get elected to a school board or city council near you? Why don't you pay attention to a state rep race? These are, small, hyper-local races where you can have an impact. And if you have the capacity for bigger impact, then fine. Step up in weight class. The example I was going to give you is Mesa City Council member Julie Spilsbury, Mesa, Arizona. This won't be covered in most places today with all the high-profile races, but I'm glad Kevin brought this up, because this is what you can do. You don't have to just lie prone and bitch on the radio. You can do some things. Mesa City Council member Julie Spilsbury conceded defeat in a recall election that pitted her against a Republican opponent backed by the activist group Turning Point. Why did they move to recall her? Because she endorsed Kamala Harris for president, and she claimed to be a Republican. She also, it supports trans policies. The reporting was the race revolved around flashpoints, including support for Trump and trans policies. So anyway, a challenger there named Doreen Taylor appears to have won. So this is, District 2 in Mesa, Arizona, and it's not a big deal, except it's a big deal in Mesa, Arizona. It sends a message in Mesa, Arizona to Mesa, Arizona residents and their political leadership. I don't see a lot of messages being sent to the political leadership and the residents of pick a suburb, any suburb in Chicagoland. So, that's the kind of stuff that anybody can do. And by the way, you don't have to wait for a turning point to get around to you. Al in Rosemont.
Hey, Dan. My thought is this. I think the best strategic position for this administration is to suspend that SNAP indefinitely, hold health care hostage, close this airspace before the holidays. After the holidays, kill the filibuster, and let's flush this enemy out right now. Those are just my thoughts.
Thanks, Al. Appreciate it. I don't know about killing a filibuster. I'm not on board for that, but there's no doubt. Somebody texted earlier about whether or not this will embolden Dems as it pertains to shutdown. Probably so, because they feel like they not paying any consequences for it, that they must be winning the shutdown to win by bigger than expected margins in New Jersey in particular, not paying a price. So let's continue doing what we're doing. And then to Al's point, Sean Duffy saying yesterday, if this goes another week, we're going to have to shut down portions of the airspace, meaning cancellation of flights and so on and so forth, because we don't have the air traffic controllers to push the 10. Well, yeah, we're going to see who has the gumption to hold their position. I know there's talk of off-ramps, and we talked about this with David Drucker yesterday, but yeah, I suspect this will give Dems confidence to dig in deeper. And I don't see Trump moving on this. And there's been no give from Johnson or Thune either. We'll see. Dan in Salem, Wisconsin.
Hey, Dan, don't be in despair, and all you other Republican listeners to Dan's show. Listen, we've been through this already before. Listen, we had to go through 2 elections of Bill Clinton. We had to go through 2 elections of Obama. These Democrats been dummies for a long time, Dan. And you know what Trump ought to do to this new mayor in New York? Send him a wild roasted boar. Thanks, Dan.
Okay, Dan. All right, we'll save that for animal stories. Coming up at 6:36, I want to get to something I mentioned in the first hour. What Bill Riley was telegraphing he is going to tell the president after last night's results. Get your reaction to that. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. 43 degrees in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer in the Surround Chicago newsroom. Lots of sun today. Breezy, highs near 60. The 46th Vice President of the U.S., Dick Cheney, has died. He served under President George W. Bush from 2001 to 2009. In a statement, the former VP died late Monday with his wife, daughters, and family members by his side. Dick Cheney was 84. A $6,000 reward being offered for info leading to the arrest of suspects involved in a violent carjacking in the Bridgeport neighborhood. Ting Chui was approached by a man with a gun Friday. He was preparing to go trick-or-treating with a child when a suspect struck him with a firearm, took his keys, phone, and wallet. Police found the vehicle 5 miles away on the near west side and are still looking for those 2 suspects. And a Chicago area woman who was stranded in Jamaica due to Hurricane Melissa without access to her life-saving medication, now back home. Trinette Britt, who is a kidney transplant recipient, is chief of staff for the South Suburban Rich Township Supervisor Calvin Jordan. Elected officials worked with the State Department to find a Jamaican doctor to get her that much-needed medication. News, a service of Salem Surround, a local digital marketing agency providing high-performing digital solutions to surround your target audience. Go to surroundchicago.com today. We're checking traffic in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Mike Gallagher sees the double standard working again.
They think they can call all of us fascists and Hitlers and Nazis all day long. They can get violent. They can do whatever they want to do. Trump has some fun with an AI video and they melt down like the Wicked Witch of the West getting a bucket of water dumped on her.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9 on AM 560. The Answer.
Honey, what's for dinner?
Honestly, nothing.
Nothing? Why not?
Because every time I need a pan, I have to unload half the kitchen first.
It's like Jenga, but with casserole dishes.
Exactly. And I always lose.
At Forever Remodeling, we create kitchens that fit your life, not the other way around. From smart storage to stunning finishes, start cooking in a kitchen built just for you. Visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, everremodeling.com.
Rick Borick talks about the risk of being in the stock market right near retirement.
It's easy to drive around with no seatbelt on if you never think you're going to have an accident, right? And you go, well, it's never going to go down. I don't need protection for my portfolio. We're a big fan of getting those gains, but we're also a bigger fan of not taking huge losses.
Unleash your wealth, Saturday at 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
Are you tired of tech headaches slowing your business down? Unique Computing Solutions has been the go-to IT team for businesses in Illinois and Northwest Indiana for nearly 30 years. Your systems should be running smoothly, your data secured, and your communications streamlined. Visit our website today at uniquecomputingsolutions.com. That's uniquecomputingsolutions.com. uniquecomputingsolutions.com. Your IT challenges solved.
You need to be tuning into the Retirement Success Blueprint with Michael Stewart, the radio companion to the Amazon best-selling book, Success Blueprint, How to Build the Retirement You Deserve. Each week, Michael shares strategies designed to help reduce market risk through income-generating investments that can provide steady returns. Because if you can avoid a big loss, you don't need to take big risks. Catch the Retirement Success Blueprint with Michael Stewart, Saturday mornings at 10, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Salem News Channel is America's fastest growing conservative TV network.
It's an absolute crazy day.
Home to the largest lineup of free speech champions anywhere. Delivering in-depth insight and unapologetic opinion on today's biggest news stories.
Americans aren't going to put up with this anymore.
SNC brings you the news that matters, told with integrity and clarity. Watch Salem News Channel free 24/7 on your television. Stream now on Pluto TV.
Picture this. You're halfway through a DIY car fix and boom, you're missing a part. It's okay, because whatever it is, it's on eBay, and it's guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. Got a crash on the northbound Tri-State right at Dempster Street, and you're jammed on the northbound side of Lakeshore Drive, making your way towards Hollywood Avenue. Looking great both ways on the Eden. No delays from Lake Cook to Montrose. The Kennedy inbound from O'Hare to the Byrne Interchange is 20 minutes. Outbound is 24. The Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office is 21 minutes. Outbound is 17. A little bit slow inbound on the Stevenson from the Tri-State to Lakeshore, 20 minutes. Outbound is 20, and then the Dan Ryan slows down from 95th Street to the Byrne Interchange, 21 minutes. Outbound looks good at 11. This report is sponsored by Blindster.com. Need new blinds? At Blindster.com, they offer guaranteed low prices, guaranteed satisfaction, free samples, and free shipping. At Blindster, they take the fear out of ordering custom blinds, shades, and shutters so you can do it yourself and save big. Blindster.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will feature partly to mostly sunny skies with increasing wind. The high will reach 60. Tonight will be clear and colder with a low of 36. Tomorrow expect sun shining through high clouds with a high of 58. On Friday there could be a shower in spots early in the morning. Otherwise anticipate a mix of clouds and breaks of sun with a high temperature of 63. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft talking about last night's election results. And we haven't gotten to New Jersey yet, and that's where we had our highest hope. That fell considerably short with Jack Ciattarelli running against Mikey Sherrill. Another Chardonnay Antifa type. Cheryl had this to say in her victory speech last night.
And at each new day in New Jersey, the sun rises over the Statue of Liberty, a daily reminder of her promise. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. She declares that her lamp lights the path to the golden door. That golden door is New Jersey. Especially after this election, where we chose, we're going to follow Lady Liberty's beacon. We're not going to give in to our darker impulses. Here in New Jersey, we know that this nation has not ever been, nor will it ever be, ruled by kings.
Right. Nothing like somebody who unilaterally suspends the rule of law in their state and challenges the supremacy clause of the Constitution to lecture us about kings. But anyway, interesting that Mickey Sherrill spoke about the immigration issue. That must be a winner for them. This may be something that President Trump should consider in terms of modulation of policy when it comes to ICE enforcement actions, so you don't lose those suburban women that some people are still chasing. I'm not sure why. But you got to do well in metropolitan areas, in middle-class suburban areas, and we're losing them because of the demagoguery of politicians that is amplified by their dutiful press corps agents, right? Bill O'Reilly on his podcast apparently said that he's going to be speaking with Trump in the next few days and wants to encourage him to consider the public's perception of the impact of immigration enforcement. He is concerned that drones floating around in neighborhoods and black suburban vans with masked individuals hopping out to apprehend a person in this country illegally is playing with the American psyche. And since Republicans are behind the enforcement of federal immigration law, then Republicans are going to bear the political brunt of the perception that the left is trying to create about the enforcement of federal immigration law. So we need to dial it back based on yesterday's election results. Do you concur? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Mm-hmm. Well, a couple of interesting data points. Some exit polling in New York, for example, since Mamdani made a big issue of that as well, of course, donning the cloak of the immigrant. Now New York City is run by and for immigrants and so on and so forth, the usual rap you have become accustomed to hearing. But the exit polling was interesting on this. I'm talking about New York City. New York City, Mamdani lost immigration voters by 26 points. He lost crime voters by 41 points. But he won cost of living voters by 36 points, and they represented a majority of the electorate. And when I say immigration voters, crime voters, and cost of living voters, I'm talking about the question, what was the issue upon which you based your vote? You say immigration. Either way, what was the issue? Of those who said immigration, number one, Mamdani lost by 26 points. Of those who said crime, number one, he lost by 41 points. Of those who said cost of living, number one, he won by 36 points, and that was the issue that animated 55% of the voters that cast ballots. So cost of living was number one in New York City. Not much of a surprise there. I suspect it's number one or two in most places in this country. So that tells you something about the immigration issue. If you think that if we make it a referendum on enforcement of federal immigration law, does that mean that we lose, at least in the short term? There's a short-term political price to be paid. No, I don't think that's clear at all. Now, would city residents in a place like New York not have the luxury of the fashionable views of raffles in River Forest? Yeah, possibly. But you think you're going to win a raffle in River Forest anyway? You think that's where your bread gets buttered? And, of course, there's something else, too. And it's about sustaining the arguments in furtherance of commonsensical policies if you want to prosecute this common sense counter-revolution that Trump has embarked upon. Or are we supposed to throw in the towel because we lost races where we were heavily favored to lose, that we were heavily favored to lose? My response to this is out because we understand it has an impact to the passive voter who is engaged marginally in what's going on in this country. Sorry to say that, but you have to confront the reality, not what you wish reality was. But the question becomes, do you want to enforce the law or not? Should ICE do catch and release, then, of illegals in this country if they haven't committed a violent crime? And if we should say, oh, now we're limited to only people that have a rap sheet or are accused of violent crimes in addition to being in this country legally. And so if we come upon people because you force ICE agents into the neighborhoods because you won't work with them in places like New York and Illinois, then if we come upon anybody else in this country illegally, we say, well, you're free to go because we're only looking for violent criminals. Well, so if we do that after so many years of open borders and turning a blind eye to people entering this country illegally, overstaying visas, and so forth, then what are the long or even medium-term implications of that politically on things like the census and apportionment, on the welfare state? Blue state Pauls won blue states. So now we should deleverage on immigration? I mean, I appreciate what Trump said in that 60 Minutes interview over the weekend, that has ICE gone too far, and his response to Norah O'Donnell, not far enough. Trump knows he's on a clock. And the universe is so large, the resources to address it so significant, that if you start responding to the agitprop of the left and their media, then you're lost. I think he understands that. That certainly would be my advice and counsel to him. Just remember that report before Trump took office from Anthony Gonzalez, the congressman from Texas. The estimate, something on the order of 650,000 people in this country illegally that either had been convicted of violent crimes or had criminal charges of a violent nature lodged against them. And that was from Biden's Department of Homeland Security, that information. (312-642-5600) turnkey.pro answer line. Ralph in Rantoul.
Hey, good morning. You know, one of the things, I think it's a complex answer, and I spent a lot of time talking about this with my political friends. Number one, I think that the establishment, Republicans, still hate Trump, and one of the reasons that we're not doing as well, especially New Jersey, is that they didn't want Trump participating in the race. Secondarily, I think we need to do a better job of connecting all this high cost of living with the Biden policies, all the illegal immigrants, because of all the money getting funneled towards them, and the residual pain that the Biden policies have put onto the onto our economy. And it's really a complex issue, but it boils down to we knew that they were going to do this with the illegal immigrants, because mass media still insists on referring to about 20 million illegal people in this country as migrants, like somehow this is part of Go West, young man, part of establishing America and taming the wild land west of the Mississippi.
Yes, they're Lewis and Clark's. Yes, right.
Right, right. All we need is images of canoes and people wearing beaver hats and things like that. And it's a crock. It's really all about the Democrats planning for the future because they know their policies suck. They know that communism sucks. And the only reason that they can be elected permanently is to change the composition of America by bringing in third world people illegally and firmly establishing them as dependent Democrat voters, because there aren't enough blacks and other minorities that they traditionally exploited for the past 60 years to keep them in power. So they have to bring in the third world. And I don't know. Thanks for giving me so much time, but it's a really complex answer. We need to do a better job. And establishment Republicans lack cojones because they hate Trump. They like the way it is. They like being the permanent controlled opposition because they're stupid.
Thanks for the call, Ralph. Well, again, I mean, I think, part of it is the quality of the comms here and pressing the American people to answer some questions like the ones I just posed. I mean, just cut through all of their histrionics and just put the questions. I mean, do you want the rule of law or not? Do you understand that if we cherry pick enforcement of the law based on our feelings about someone, then you no longer have the rule of law. Then you have the rule of men. I'm not going to have this person arrested because I like him. I'm going to have this person arrested because I don't like him, even though the two people have done the same thing. Is that what you want? Do you understand the implications of people in this country illegally and how they dilute your representation when it comes to things like, as I said, the census and apportionment, at least the way it's set up right now? The additional costs that are imposed on the welfare state. Now, we have an American problem with the welfare state, too, but it's exacerbated by the number of people in this country illegally. So why do we want to exacerbate a problem we already have? I mean, these are you have to ask questions, get people to engage, and maybe some people to think. Ron, Naperville.
Yeah, hey, Dan. I don't know. It's debatable who said it, but quantity has a quality all of its own, and that's what comes into play here with this immigration. 14 million people and I believe that the Dems probably thought they'll only be able to round up, maybe 50,000 of them or something like that. And so, yeah.
They've got a lot more than that. I mean, they're doing a lot more. They're doing a lot bigger numbers than that. And Tom Homan is trying to amp the numbers they're doing already. And that doesn't even include what's the estimate, 1.5 or so that have self-deported, thanks to the convenience of the CBP One app and some incentives to do so.
Yeah, well, that's my point. In order to ramp it up, there's going to be a little bit of tension involved in the situation. It's such a big problem.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it, Dan.
Thanks for the call. No, I agree. And I said at the outset, and I've said so many times, Tom Homan has as well, they have made a job of ICE enforcement much more complicated and much more dangerous for all parties involved because they won't allow law enforcement in places like Chicago and Illinois and New York and California to work with law enforcement. They won't let local and state work with federal. And that makes no sense. Does that make sense? Put that question, people. Why does that make sense? How does that make sense? Make the situation more dangerous for everybody. Why? So you can get your viral TikTok moment? That's what you want our politics to be about? That's how you want policy made? Are you a child? Dave, Milwaukee.
Hi, Dan. I think that they do need to tone down the immigration rhetoric just a little bit. But I think the reason they lost big yesterday, when I thought they were going to win at least New Jersey, was the ground game. The Democrats have tens of thousands of people going house to house and telling people, a lot of it is lies about like the shutdown and all these other things. The Republicans have hardly any ground game. And I know that from experience because here in Wisconsin, I called like for the Supreme Court race we lost and different other Republican races. I volunteered to go out door to door, and nobody ever called me back.
Thanks for the call, Dave. I mean, we're always playing catch up with the ground game. Yeah, there's some truth to that. But the ground game doesn't explain the losses yesterday. First and foremost, I mean, remember, these are, really plus double-digit Dem states. Okay? So let's just start with understand. Like, this wasn't an even matchup. We fall into the media of like, oh, it's a big night for Democrats. Why? They held states where they have a 10-point advantage going in? That's a huge advantage. Any victory in those states would be a massive upset, particularly in this environment. So let's keep some proportionality to the discussion too. Greg Schomburg.
Morning, Dan. Okay, now don't hop down my throat here, but let me be a little bit creative with the background of this number. A couple weeks ago, I saw a number that if you take that Biden admitted 13 to 20 million illegal aliens, and if the rate of deportation continues as it is right now, we're going to have at least 10 million people, if not more, still in this country. And if to follow the logic of the media impact, we will probably be in a less advantageous position, possibly, going into the midterms and going into, 2028. So is there a creative position if there are a bunch of those people who fit this category that they literally are not criminals? Meaning, yes, did they break the law in coming into this country? The answer is yes. But let's just say that they put a bunch of people on a plane or on those railroad cars, and they were literally trying to escape for a better life, and they're here now. What can we do about it? Is there any way that we could come up with a program that elicits them out of the woodworks and tries to enroll them in the Republican way of thinking and puts them on some kind of plan short of like the Reagan-esque amnesty plan that, was adopted at one point, that somehow enrolls them in a country given the fact that they're in such large numbers? There's got to be a way to do that given the numbers that we are dealing with.
Thanks for the call, Greg. I mean, I got, 20 seconds, so I can't give a properly fulsome answer to that. But I'm open-minded on the topic. But let's remember, we're starting from the premise that they're not going after people just in this country illegally. But if they come across them in pursuit of somebody that is in this country illegally who is on their hit list for having committed a violent crime or being charged with one, then they will also take those people into custody. So, what the actual context is matters here, but we'll have to pick it up in the next hour. We start with Zuhdi Jasser at 7:07. It is now 7 o'clock on AM 560 WIND.
Democrats retake Virginia. I'm Kathleen Maloney, Fox News. Voters in Virginia elected Abigail Spanberger as governor, the moderate Democrat stressing unity in her victory speech.
I have worked with anyone and everyone, regardless of political party, to deliver results for the people that I serve. And that's because I believe in this idea that there is so much more that unites us as Virginians and as Americans than divides us.
Spanberger won nearly 58% of the vote in defeating Republican Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earl Sears.
We must pray for Abigail. We must pray for our government. You are the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. We must pray for our state and we must pray for our country.
She staked her campaign on economic issues. New Jersey voters keep the state blue.
Today, New Jersey Democrats are celebrating after voters here in Jersey did promote the Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill to be the Garden State's next governor. This race focused heavily on cost of living, but it also is seen as something both parties are looking very closely at in terms of messaging ahead of next November's midterms. Let's get you the numbers from overnight, which shows that Sherrill had no problem defeating the former Republican Assemblyman Jack Ciattarelli. It's notable multiple counties where President Trump saw a surge in support last year flip back to Democrats' favor in this election. Overnight, Ciattarelli spoke to his supporters in Bridgewater, says he called Sherrill to congratulate her on her victory. This was his third time running for governor.
Fox's Mark Meredith. New York City voters put their trust in Democratic Socialist Zoran Mamdani.
On January 1st, I will be sworn in as the mayor of New York City.
He defeated former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo and Republican Curtis Sliwa. America's listening to Fox.
Good morning, 55 degrees in Chicago and AM 560 The Answer. I'm John Cruz in the Goldilocks newsroom. Sunny and winds pick up by afternoon, a high of 59. A 4-year-old girl recovering after she was shot in Chicago's Humboldt Park neighborhood. Police say the shooting happened last night while the victim was inside an apartment in the 3000 block of West Franklin Boulevard. She was taken to the hospital in fair condition. No arrests have been made. A federal judge will decide today if excessive force by ICE has been used against Chicago protesters and journalists. Meanwhile, another judge expected to decide today whether or not to issue an emergency restraining order over conditions at the Broadview ICE facility. Over 3,200 people have been arrested so far during Operation Midway Blitz. Chicago Transit Authority proposing a fare hike next year. Under the agency's proposed budget, fare prices would increase 25 cents beginning February the 1st. Now, this would boost train rides to $2.75. The CTA last raised fares in January of 2018. Everybody, welcome to get a fresh bag of produce at a resource fair today, 3 to 5 p.m. at the Salam Community Center. That's at 613 East 67th Street. Each person in line will walk away with fresh produce. There will also be health and wellness resources on site. Police investigating after 2 people were found dead in a car northwest suburban Crystal Lake. Officers got that call early Tuesday morning to 2 people asleep in a vehicle in the 700 block of Coventry Lane. A woman in her 20s and a 32-year-old man were found unresponsive with no clear signs of injury, both pronounced dead at the scene. And the city of Springfield hosting its 5th annual Pumpkin Smash this weekend. The event taking place Saturday at Lake Springfield's Beach House in Center Park. It's a chance for residents to have fun and environmentally responsible ways to dispose of their post-Halloween pumpkins, but giving back through a food drive and free document shredding. News a service of Goldilocks, offering Chicagoland state-of-the-art smart security systems to protect your home or business. AM 560 listeners receive 3 months of monitoring free with new installs. Get peace of mind by calling Goldilocks 708-889-5600. Again, 708-889-5600. A check of your roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Get your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago 2025, happening on Saturday, November 8th at Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. This year, featuring Dr. Ben Carson, Scott Jennings, Mike Gallagher, along with Dan Proft, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, and many more. This event will sell out fast, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Quick Delivery Service Incorporated and by Virago.
Chicago businesses. Your phone, internet, and IT should work well 24/7. But when it doesn't, who are you calling? At Overseas Help Desk? If you want clear, reliable local experts, consider Access One. Access One has been powering Chicago businesses with secure, reliable IT solutions for over 30 years from our headquarters right here in the West Loop. Whether it's VoIP phones, dedicated internet, managed cybersecurity, cloud backups, or 24/7 support, Access One has you covered. Access One is Chicago-owned, Chicago-run, and serving thousands of companies from Naperville to the North Shore and everywhere in between. We're rated top 5% in customer satisfaction, a Better Business Bureau A+ rated business, and trusted by law firms, clinics, tech startups to manufacturers. Let's talk about making your IT work well. Call 800-654-1555 or visit AccessOneInc.com. That's AccessOneInc.com. Tech made personal, locally.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Ever wonder why the big wireless companies want you on an unlimited plan? It's because they need you to help cover the costs of the 20-somethings who are using a lot of data every month. Fact is, according to the latest research studies, most people 50 and up, like me, only use 12 gigs or less each month. Don't get bamboozled by Big Wireless. At Consumer Cellular, pick what suits your needs, whether it's 1 gig, 5, 10, or unlimited. The point is, pay for exactly what you need and nothing more. We use the same towers as the big guys, but since we don't own and maintain them, we can pass the savings on to you. Our plans start at just $20 a month, and you'll get the best customer service in the business. I want to invite you to join the millions of people who choose something better than Big Wireless, because if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Well, that was a surprise. The HVAC tech just said our furnace apparently has a cracked heat exchanger, and it'll cost thousands.
Oh, you're kidding. He barely looked at it. Now he's pushing a huge repair? What should we do?
I don't really trust them. We need a second opinion. My brother Mark recommended Air Right Heating and Cooling. I looked them up and they seem legit. Great Google reviews. I'm sure they'd give us an honest assessment. He liked that they checked their carbon monoxide readings so he knows the air they're breathing is safe. And I guess it also gave a sense of how much life was left in their furnace.
I'd love that peace of mind. Plus, why spend a fortune on something we might not even need?
Get a second opinion from Air Right Heating and Cooling. Tell them AM 560 sent you and get $56 off any service. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling right now at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. Air Right Heating and Cooling. Doing it right since 1959.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. Stop and go delays on the outbound Eisenhower between Damon Avenue and Homan Avenue with a collision taking out the right lane. So it will be 30 minutes. In fact, 30 minutes in both directions from Wolf to the old post office on the Eisenhower. You also have a crash on the Tri-State northbound right at Dempster Street to slow you down. It's off to the right shoulder. And then stop and go delays on the northbound side of Lakeshore Drive as you approach Hollywood Avenue. You also want to watch out for a collision on Route 53 northbound at Euclid Avenue. Delays go all the way back to the Jane Addams. On the Eden, no delays both ways from Lake Cook to Montrose. The Kennedy inbound from O'Hare to the Burn Interchange is 28 minutes. Outbound is 30. Inbound Stevenson from the Tri-State to Lakeshore is 34. Outbound is 26. And the Dan Ryan from 95th to the Burn Interchange is 30. Outbound is 11. Traffic is a service of almostfreeteeth.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will feature partly to mostly sunny skies with increasing wind. The high will reach 60. Tonight will be clear and colder with a low of 36. Tomorrow expect sun shining through high clouds with a high of 58. On Friday, there could be a shower in spots early in the morning. Otherwise, anticipate a mix of clouds and breaks of sun with a high temperature of 63. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Forever Remodeling. Stress-free and high-quality remodeling. View their stunning transformations online at the number 4everremodeling.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Colin Quinn, very underrated comedian, Colin Quinn. He's got some good stand-ups, especially after what happened yesterday in New York. I would check out his special from a couple years ago called A New York Story, where he goes through all the different ethnicities in New York and how they interact. It's really, really entertaining. Colin Quinn was on Free Press podcast, and he was asked how Mamdani got elected.
When you don't give there's no incentive, or you run for office, people dox you, look at all your past, there's no money to be made, everything you do is under scrutiny. It's not a job for a health, and it's like being the Jets quarterback. It's like being the Jets quarterback, you know? It looks good when you first get to New York, but a month in you go, this was a mistake.
I feel for Justin Fields. Yes, right. The description of that is how you get such woefully flawed candidates like the three candidates who were running for mayor of New York. By the way, just as an aside, to buttress my claim about Colin Quinn, he had this riff on a special called Unconstitutional about PC culture, which is still timely, of course.
But if you even mention ethnicity, people feel a little bit, your stomach feels tense. If you even mention someone's ethnicity, everyone's like, wow. If I told you a true story, this Mexican guy came up to me, whoa. Why does this guy have to be Mexican in your true story? I don't understand. You have to speak in the most idealized, pasteurized, homogenized, colorblind at all. You feel bad. If you notice, you're like, this guy comes up to me, could have been Mexican, I don't know, I don't care. I shouldn't have been a Central American, Hispanic, Latino. It was a man, all right? Wait a minute. I was sexist. I don't know if it was a man. Could have been a woman, it could have been LGBT, I don't know. I mean, it was a life form came up to me. You know what? Hold on. I'd like to start the story by apologizing for, obviously, I'm coming from a place of Western, entitled, unconscious, paternalistic fear of the other, and, non-heteronormative, gender-specific. I'd like to start by saying that this apology has been a learning experience for me and a teachable moment, and I think I'm going to do some soul searching, and hopefully, down the line, I can start a nonprofit for other people that are telling stories.
Sure, you get government funding. You start one of those. Mamdani was not afraid to check the identity box in his victory speech last night.
After all, the conventional wisdom would tell you that I am far from the perfect candidate. I am young, despite my best efforts to grow older. I am Muslim. A democratic socialist. And most damning of all, I refuse to apologize for any of this.
Yeah, right. His victory was against all odds, but it was the chance he had to take. Apologies to Phil Collins there. I mentioned this earlier in the program, but we didn't get to it. We're going to get to it now because I want to get our next guest's comment on it. The Manhattan Institute's Rehan Salam had a good riff on the same Free Press podcast that Colin Quinn was on, talking about the Democrat Socialists of America from where Mamdani sprung, part of his inner circle, and the packaging of Mamdani and the DSA. And contrasting that, sort of this pivot away from formal wokeism to something else. And what the play really is here. Take a listen. First on the pivot.
One thing I'll just throw out there, Zach is offering a really rich, larger intellectual history. I just want to advance a kind of narrower thesis. When you look at peak woke progressivism, one thing about it is that it was basically asking people to question, to think deeply about their own privilege. It had a kind of austere Calvinist element to it, in which it was actually asking you to don the hair shirt. It was asking you to think about the various ways in which you're complicit in systems of oppression. The genius, you could say, of this democratic socialist moment around Zoran Mamdani is that it's all about offering you free stuff. Yeah. And it is also saying that the bad guys are simple. The bad guys are over there in Israel, and it is people in the U.S. who are pro-Israel elements. The billionaire class, these other people, they're the ones who are complicit in evil, not you. So the thing is that, actually wokeness was almost anti-charismatic in the sense that it was actually almost designed to demoralize. It was, kind of exciting if you're a certain kind of self-flagellating person. Whereas the genius of this brand of modern democratic socialism is that it's actually kind of tailor-made to be exciting and fun.
Yeah, exciting and fun. Free stuff at other people's expense. No guilt. No self-flagellation required. That's an important insight. He goes on to then bring in Fanon, because Mamdani is really a Fanonist, as a lot of those who are particularly geared towards beating America up around this idea that we're some sort of neo-colonial power and that we have our own colonialist sins to pay for. Fanon was a French psychiatrist, Martinique, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, who is one of these philosophical North Stars of the anti-colonial revolutionary Marxist. So Fanon was particularly influential around the time, say, of the Algerian Revolution against the French.
Like, the funny thing is that people are fixated on this idea that, Mamdani is an Islamist. He's a Fanonist. It's actually, this is a 1970s style third worldist thing that's packaged with Danish social democracy and Lego and IKEA and harmless stuff. Whereas inside, the serious, thinkers, ideologues, practitioners, they're the ones who say things like these Mamdani videos you see of him in 2023. Not 1975, when he was, a mere idea, a mere gleam, and Mira Nair's eyes. This is really interesting. The packaging, the branding is totally guilt-free. It's super, super easy and accessible.
For more on this, please be joined by our friend Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, president of the American Islamic Forum for Democracy, co-founder of the Muslim Reform Movement, former U.S. Navy lieutenant commander, and candidate for Congress in Arizona, and a medical doctor as well. When I say doctor, you know that I mean medical doctor, not one of these phony doctors like Joe Biden. Dr. Jasser, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
It's great to be with you, Dan. Thanks for having me.
So your review of Mamdani's victory, but if you can, fold in a reaction to Reihan Salam's analysis, both sort of philosophically of where Mamdani is coming from, as well as this marketing, this packaging he was talking about.
Yeah, there's no doubt that to me, as I've been fighting radicalization within the Muslim community, and back whether it was ground zero when we were fighting the mosque there, saying they might have a right to do it, but it was not the right thing to do. When I was working with Congressman Peter King in New York City, we were defending the police. We had a rally of Muslims to support the NYPD and said, listen, this is not just about Muslim identity. This is about saving New York City, saving America, and that they'll come for you. They're going to come for the Democratic Party and radicalize them. And today, we now know, as we wake up, where we have a guy who would probably be better suited to be the mayor of Gaza City is now the mayor of New York City. The radicalization of the Democratic Party has now fully been installed. That software is uploaded and now operational. And just look at London. Sadiq Khan has been running London now, will be 10 years in 2026. And they have dismantled the security operation in London. They have dismantled the identity of being British and what that means, not only for Muslims in Britain, but for every group. And it's harder to do in America because being American is an ideology. It's related to everybody. It's not a racial identity like it is in Europe. But at the end of the day, their democracy is on life support in Europe, and we are now starting to see it here. So as much as we can sort of dismiss what happened with Mamdani, and I don't disagree with Salam about what he's talking about the way they did it, the method. We saw the radicalization of the Democratic Party where they glorified violence in the Black Lives Matter movement. They glorified anti-corporate movements. The assassination culture with my friend Charlie Kirk and others has been sort of minimized as a corruption, when in fact it's a horrific corruption where they dismissed assassination and other targeting and demonization of our enemies. So at the end of the day, though, this is not a aberration. It is the intent, which is to take away our moral constructs of being American. It's not about the 80-20 issues. So as Americans look across the country in the flyover culture, the blue cities are not lost because they want it to be lost. The Democratic Socialists have now taken over the Democratic Party. We can't let them take those cities. It's not that we can win them with Republicans, but it is correct that our candidates aren't accessible. They aren't, and when I say our candidates, the centrist candidates, where the 99-1 issues, not the 80-20, the 99-1 issues, which is America first, which is our Constitution, our social contracts, what it is that makes New York City, that stood on 9/12/01 and came together. It wasn't about being red or blue. We've lost that. They've taken that issue where he now is talking about the NYPD, made comments in his campaign that the NYPD has its shoelaces laced by the IDF. I mean, that is a corrupt demonization of our greatest ally that's fighting for freedom. He could even get himself, and I disagree with Salam. This guy is an Islamist. He wraps himself in Muslim identity, but he's a radical Islamist that's the head of the spear of the global red-green axis, where his dad was comparing Abraham Lincoln to Hitler. So this is somebody who's very radical.
His dad said, in fact, Abraham Lincoln's model was what inspired Hitler. That's what his dad said. Yes.
Insane. Go ahead.
Well, the Salam. That anti-colonial, that quote unquote anti-colonialist disposition. I mean, is not inconsistent with being an Islamist. I mean, they're certainly complementary. But I just think you have to get inside. You have to understand that this guy's background. You have to get inside his head, and his father certainly is somebody important in that conversation, who's an academic and an Islamist sympathizer at minimum. Because because it's being papered over by, it's just going to be a little bit more rent control, and it's going to be slightly higher taxes on corporations and individuals, and tightly free bus rides and stuff like that. So it's just a little bit of more redistributionist than New York is normally used to, and it's all done with a smile. But there's something sinister behind that I think got drowned out because, of course, you didn't have candidates with the capacity to address those issues.
Exactly. And this is why, come full circle, President Obama called him a few days before the election, because this is Obama 4.0. 1.0 and 2.0 were his first two administrations, where they put into operation the takeover American healthcare system. They put into place a socialist system that has now socialized American healthcare, and the shutdown has shown us that has basically created a new government, which is the insurance companies. And now he calls his friend Mamdani because they're continuing the further takeover and socialization. And I know this script. My family escaped it in the Middle East. Egypt was taken over by whether it's Mubarak or the Muslim Brotherhood, those two forms of the dictatorship. One is Islamist socialism, the other is military socialism, but they both want to take over the economic system. And this is the far extreme left method of doing so. And Mamdani embraced the radical imams in New York. Siraj Wahhaj, whose kids were arrested for terrorism, who has gone and basically said he wants to replace the Constitution with the Quran. We as conservatives and those in the center, who are the 80-20 part of America, can take back our country by flipping the script. This is why we need to say, you know what? And as I listened to Vivek Ramaswamy talk yesterday and others, there are many of us from immigrant communities that I think can say the same thing that so many Americans want to say, but they can't target me as being anti-Muslim. And when I give a narrative that my parents were able to get affordability because of small business America, because of having the ability to own their property and their businesses, this is how we take back America. Say we are the party of affordability. We are the party, the center party of American freedom, family freedom, education, and American social unity, if you will, rather than this fake social justice that just wants to destroy America and blame the West and foment anti-Semitism.
Well, I mean, meanwhile, back in Mogadishu, Minnesota, we've got a Mamdani in the Midwest who may end up being the mayor of what we used to know as Minneapolis. Both Omar Fateh and Jacob Fry, a non-Muslim, it seemed to me, spent most of their time campaigning in Somalia, like speaking Somali to Somalians. And this was a Somali first competition to be the next mayor of what used to be Minneapolis.
They certainly did. And it is amazing to me that more people aren't why is it so unusual to express that this is abhorrent that an American politician would have a Somali flag? And you listen to Ilhan Omar, and she says things in Somali where she's telling the people of Somalia that she's able to advance their interests in the House and the floors of Congress. And that is is why they should support her. And she's talking to a foreign group in their language, not in our language, in English. So this type of disloyalty and America last rather than America first is what we need to target, because most Americans love this country. They serve in our military, our police, and our security services to keep our families safe, not to allow foreign interests to destroy our country and unravel it. And, listen, I think that's the minority narrative, is that we as minorities escaped other countries because we didn't have the freedom to be Arabic and Muslim and Mexican and other things that we want to be, and this country gives us that freedom to do it. And we haven't figured out how to get that message across in 30-second videos and otherwise, to get the bandwidth to make the Omar Fattahs of the country really appear as truly radical as they are.
Yeah, I think there's just still this fear of being called a racist and things like that, and nothing could be further from the truth, of course. But I mean, the thinking about this, many people have made the point, 24 years removed from 9/11, and you have a mayor of New York City who, as you just mentioned, was consorting with, taking photo op pictures with a character witness for the first World Trade Center bombing mastermind, with the mastermind of the first World Trade Center bombing, and otherwise meeting with other radical imams that you were describing. I mean, never again. I thought it was never again. And in Minnesota, I mean, we sent American soldiers to die to try to protect the Somali people from warlords. And apparently we then allowed warlords to come to this country and, put on nice clothes and run for political office and prosecute warlordocracy by political means in Minnesota and in the United States Congress. I mean, it is jarring what we see happening.
It is. And listen, I served in the U.S. Navy for 11 years. I was on the USS El Paso. We went to Operation Restore Hope in '93, and our ship was outside Mogadishu trying to take food, and we were told that we were colonizing the Horn of Africa, which couldn't have been further from the truth. Ilhan Omar actually said the worst day in Somalia wasn't the tribal warlords and the dictatorships that were feeding and fueling her campaign, but rather it was the act of terror committed by American troops. And I, as an American Muslim and an American serviceman, was just offended that this person would say such a thing just a few years ago while she was a member of Congress, saying that our troops, which I served as the doc on the USS El Paso out there, she said that was the problem. I put a proposal for us to have a commission on Americanism, which is we can seal the border physically, but the border in our consciousness as American, what it means to be American, what is the border of our loyalty, what are the things that we would want to serve and die for, which is America, not some foreign jihadist interests, not the comrade community of the communist movement of the Democratic Socialists of America. These movements, unless we begin to rebuild those borders in our consciousness of identity, real identity as Americans, we're going to lose this war. And I think that's the wake-up call from yesterday, is that the far left's radicalization should matter to us in the center and on the right, because the more radical they get, it only takes 10% of a population. Ask the Iranians. They lost their country in '79 because 10% of their country became radicalized, and within 2 months they had regret, and now they've been trying to fix that for 45 years. So this is what we can see coming if we don't. It's not just about minorities that might have radical limbs. They have radicalized one of the major parties in America, and the Schumers of the world are now taking orders from the AOC and Ilhan Omar's, which is the red-green axis, and Mamdani is now part of that.
Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, president of the American Islamic Forum for Democracy, co-founder of Muslim Reform Movement, former U.S. Navy lieutenant commander, and candidate for Congress in Arizona. Dr. Jasser, thank you as always for your time. I appreciate it.
Great to be with you, Dan. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. And Dr. Jasser joined us on the Turnkey.Pro answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
When it comes to buying, selling, and investing in real estate, experience matters. Communication matters. results matter. That's why you should call Tom Cunningham. Tom is a licensed real estate broker with eXp Realty with 25 years in the business. Clients trust Tom for his expertise, doing what he says, sometimes more, and making real estate simple again. He'll make your number one goal his number one goal, listening to your needs and bringing you excellent investment opportunities. Tom Cunningham lives by the Get by Giving philosophy, working hard toward a common good. For more, visit TomCRealty.com or call or text for a meeting 708-369-7625. Remember, experience matters when it comes to buying, selling, and investing in real estate. Get the expertise of Tom Cunningham, eXp Realty. That's 708-369-7625. TomCRealty.com. Happy days, Cunningham. Make sure you have the results you're looking for.
Our veterans are our heroes. They answered the call to defend our freedom, putting their lives on the line for our nation. But today, thousands of those brave men and women are facing something no hero should ever face: food insecurity. That's where Farm to Veteran comes in. Through the Fulcrum Farm Foundation, this remarkable organization delivers farm fresh, nutritious food directly to veterans in need through veteran services and organizations. From greenhouse-grown produce to eggs, they're ensuring our heroes have access to the high-quality food they deserve. But Farm to Veteran can't do it alone. They need our help. Your financial contribution directly supports their mission to feed more veterans across their growing network of partner farms nationwide. And there's another way you can make a difference. Join them at their upcoming community events. Visit farmtoveteran.com today. That's farm2veteran.com to donate or learn about events near you. Because those who served our country shouldn't have to wonder where their next meal is coming from. Let's stand with those who stood for us. That's farm2veteran.com.
Hi, my name is Dr. Michael Huber. During cold and flu season, a nearby cough or sneeze can trigger a familiar dread, that helpless feeling of being defenseless against an invisible viral threat. But what if you could change the narrative? What if you could fortify your body's natural defenses? This is why I developed Virago, the immune enhancement cocktail designed to give your body the upper hand. Virago is more than a supplement. It's a revolutionary liquid formula packed with 23 powerful natural nutraceuticals for rapid absorption. This unique blend is scientifically crafted to help build resilience and keep you protected. Don't just hope for good health. Make it happen with Virago. Virago and Maha, making America healthy again.
Virago. Order your bottle today online at myvirago.com and use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. myvirago.com. Coupon code IMMUNE.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up at 7:37, we'll talk Momdonomics and the status on the shutdown with Stephen Moore. That's 7:37. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. 53 degrees in Chicago and AM 560 The Answer. I'm John Cruz in the AlmostFreeTeeth.com newsroom. Plenty of sun today, breezy, a high around 59 degrees. The NTSB on the scene this morning in the deadly crash of a cargo plane at a UPS hub facility near Louisville's International Airport. One traveler told the local ABC affiliate that her flight across a tarmac had to be evacuated.
Everybody was looking off to the left, and it was just a cloud of black smoke.
7 people confirmed dead. Officials say that number could go up. A federal judge will decide today if excessive force by ICE has been used against Chicago protesters and journalists. Meanwhile, another judge expected to decide today whether or not to issue an emergency restraining order over conditions at the Broadview ICE facility. Over 3,200 people have been arrested so far during Operation Midway Blitz. And everybody is welcome to get a bag of fresh produce at a resource fair today from 3 to 5 p.m. at the Salam Community Center on 613 East 67th Street. Each person in line will walk away with a fresh bag of produce. There will also be health and wellness resources on site. Think full mouth dental implants are too expensive? Think again, not at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. With medical insurance, you could save thousands and receive your finally affordable dream smile. Check if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of your roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Eric Swalwell now says that he wants a pledge from any 2028 Democrat presidential candidate that he or she will promise to demolish Trump's ballroom. I'm not making this up. let's just stipulate that the Democrats are in a free fall right now.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9 on AM 560. The Answer. Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
This past year has been one of the hardest in MyPillow's history. It's because of you that they are making it through. They want to thank you for your continued support by extending their wholesale prices on classic MyPillows. Get standard classic MyPillows for only $14.98. It gets even better. Upgrade to a queen size MyPillow for just $18.98. King size only $1 more, or multi-use pillows for only $9.98. Get body pillows for $29.98 with a free pillowcase. So go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY to take advantage of these wholesale prices, including the standard size MyPillow, originally $49.98, now only $14.98. Queens $18.98. Kings only $1 more. That's 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. Order $100 or more and your order ships absolutely free. We know MyPillow products come with a 10-year warranty, but MyPillow has just announced that they are extending their 60-day money-back guarantee. That's right. Orders placed between now and December 25th will have their 60-day money-back guarantee extended through March 1st, 2026.
If you're one of the millions of Americans behind on your taxes, if you're afraid to open your mail because IRS collection letters could be coming, listen carefully. The IRS is cracking down, taking paychecks, freezing bank accounts, revoking passports. That's a fact. But here's what most people don't know. There are official tax relief programs designed to help struggling taxpayers. Programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief. Optima's award-winning team will fight to protect your paycheck, your passport, and your property. Their tax attorneys and licensed tax professionals will work tirelessly to get you the best deal possible with the IRS. Every day, penalties and interest keep piling up, so don't wait. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
So my mother is thinking of switching from Verizon to Pure Talk, but she's worried the deal sounds too good to be true. Michael, she said, how can those Pure Talk people offer me the same basic service as Verizon for so much less money? I said, Ma, go ask Google how much Verizon spends on advertising and promotions. A few seconds later, my mother said, oh my goodness, $12 billion a year? That must be a typo. I'll tell you what I told my mom. It's not a typo. Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotions, and their customers are paying for it. Well, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. Trust me, I would know. That's why they can offer you and my mother unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a crazy fast 5G network for just $25 a month. And if you're a business owner, you could really save a fortune. Dial pound 250, say the words Mike Rowe, and you'll get an additional 50% off your first month. That's pound 250 Mike Rowe. Pure Talk. Everything you need and nothing you don't.
Don't miss In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr. Now heard on Sunday mornings at 7:30. Tune in and find hope as Jim Scudder explores God's Word and His world each Sunday morning right here on AM 560. The Answer.
Picture this. You're halfway through a DIY car fix and boom, you're missing a part. It's okay, because whatever it is, it's on eBay. And it's guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. Not too bad on the Eden inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose is 15, outbound is 17, but real slow on the Kennedy inbound from O'Hare to the Burnt Interchange, 32 minutes, outbound is 47. The Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office is 35 minutes, outbound is getting better, 22 minutes. An accident at Homan Avenue is now off on the right shoulder. Inbound Stevenson from the Tri-State to Lakeshore is 36 minutes, outbound is 25. The Dan Ryan from 95th to the Burn Interchange is 27 minutes, outbound is 11. This report is sponsored by Lowe's. Find great early Black Friday deals now at Lowe's. Get up to 50% off select major appliances, plus up to an extra 25% off when you bundle select major appliances. Valid through 11/19. Selections vary by location. Select locations only. While supplies last, see Lowe's.com for more details. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service. service.
Today will be partly to mostly sunny with increasing winds reaching a high of 60. Tonight, expect clear skies and colder temperatures dropping to a low of 36. Tomorrow, anticipate sun shining through high clouds with a high of 58. Friday may see a shower in spots early, then a mix of clouds and breaks of sun with a high of 63. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, and Zoran Mamdani's victory speech last night opened with an invocation of his brother from another century, Eugene V. Debs, the former Indiana state legislator, actually, and a perennial socialist candidate for president.
Sun may have set over our city this evening, but as Eugene Debs once said, I can see the dawn of a better day for humanity.
Yeah, like most in those audience have any idea who Eugene V. Debs was. Eugene V. Debs also said this: while there is a lower class, I am in it. While there is a criminal element, I am of it. And while there is a soul in prison, I am not free. Boy, that is sentimental barbarism wrapped up in a few phrases, isn't it? Eugene V. Debs. And by the way, Mamdani believes that too, because he, supports eliminating prisons and police while we're at it. He also had this gem, which I'm sure Steve Moore will enjoy.
We will prove that there is no problem too large for government to solve and no concern too small for it to care about.
In other words, there is no aspect of your life in which government will not be involved. Hooray! That's what a free people should celebrate. And by the way, just one sort of fun tidbit. Mamdani's closing message about his Gimme Dat grocery stores that he's going to open, allegedly, the city-owned grocery stores. Not to worry, bodegas. Not to worry.
Sources of revenue for bodegas in New York City are cigarettes and Lotto. That we have no interest in selling any of that at a city-run grocery store whose entire purpose is to deliver affordable groceries. And I think this is the thing you'll see, especially in the last days of an election. The desperation increases.
Desperation, yeah. So wait, let me just understand something. Just started taking your premise as true. So bodegas make their money on lottery tickets and cigarettes, which you're not going to sell at the Gimme Dat grocery stores. So how big are the subsidies going to be to keep that place open and supplied? Anyway, I know. Boring econ questions when we're all supposed to be celebrating. For more on this, Steve Moore, economist, author of The Trump Economic Miracle and the Plan to Unleash Prosperity Again, joins us. Steve, thanks for being with us.
Hey, Dan, good morning. I didn't want to have to talk to you this morning after that beating the Republicans took around the country. But,
expected.
It was not a good night for conservatives.
But I mean, expected. I mean, these are deep blue states. Oh, they passed Proposition 50 in California. What a surprise. Oh, they won the governorship in New Jersey. What a surprise. I mean, come on. Mamdani, though, with his election, you said Wall Street is leaving. So when are they going?
Well, listen, first of all, as someone who goes to New York all the time, I'm very excited about all the free stuff I'm going to get.
Yes.
It's going to be great. Nothing is going to cost anything in New York anymore. For
except cigarettes.
Free food. And
yeah.
Exactly. By the way, I do know who Eugene Debs was. He's in the history books as one of the first leading exponents of socialism. But I hadn't heard that name in probably 30 years.
It's a throwback. Yeah. Uh-huh.
It's a throwback. But look, this is a disaster for New York City. I've predicted that if Mamdani win, which he has done, and by the way, how big was his victory? He won pretty decisively, didn't he?
Yeah, he got more than 50% of the vote, so that's more than the rest combined.
Yeah. So I predicted that New York City will no longer be the home of Wall Street. The Wall Street will move, and it's already been moving, week after week after week. About 2 months ago, Dan, Texas opened up the Texas stock exchange. By the way, I'm in Dallas right now, and this is becoming the financial capital of the country. And I believe, the big bull that they have in Wall Street, the big bull.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to have to get a crane and pull that thing up and move it to Dallas. It's sad. It is sad because New York is our the most important city in the world, and 8 million people live there, and they're going to get a taste of socialism firsthand. I mean, and I warned people, by the way, my friends in New York. I said, look what's happened to Chicago under Brandon Johnson. Is that the direction you want to go? I guess so. And this is going to be a brutal lesson for a real life lesson of socialism.
The shutdown. Of course, one wonders, Democrats not paying a price for the shutdown, so will they be emboldened? And this against the backdrop of Sean Duffy saying, if we don't end this impasse by next week, I'm going to have to close some portions of the airspace, cancel flights because I don't have air traffic controllers. So what's happening there on the Hill?
Well, I hope that doesn't happen today because I'm at the Dallas-Fort Worth.
Me too.
I want to get out of town. But yeah, look, this has been, by the way, this mayhem and chaos that's being created, this is exactly what Chuck E. Schumer wanted. It's not like they wanted this to happen. That's why they won't even allow, some of the essential services like air traffic control. They have held our military hostage. Our servicemen are not getting paid. But yes, this is certainly going to embolden Schumer, and it's going to make it more difficult now to get a deal with them. And so, we will see how long this lasts. But if you travel a lot like I do, it's become a big pain. I mean, thousands of flights every day are either delayed or canceled.
AOC last night was expectedly giddy and basically sending a message across the bow of Chuck Schumer.
And I think the message that sends is that the Democratic Party cannot last much longer by denying the future, by trying to undercut our young, by trying to undercut a next generation of diverse and upcoming Democrats that have the parties, the actual party, our actual electorate and voter support.
Get on the bus or get under it, Steve.
Yeah. Well, this is an ode to socialism. It is. These guys are riding their high horse right now. And by the way, AOC was a big winner last night, no doubt about that. And she will be a force to be contended with, either running for the Senate or running for the president. See, this is your new Democratic Party, folks. How do you like it? It's not your grandma and grandpa's party. It's moved way to the far left. And, it's scary, actually. I mean, we have two parties in the United States, and one of them is, I can live with, and the other one is moved to a radical leftist Fidel Castro agenda. It's scary. And you know what, Dan? One of the worst things about this is if you look at who voted for Mamdani, it was young people. Young people.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. This is a real indictment of our schools when these idiot young 25-year-olds don't even understand that socialism has failed everywhere it's been tried. I mean, have they been to Caracas, Venezuela? Have they been to Cuba? Have they been to North Korea?
Some of them are from there. Not North Korea as much, but yes, right. You think that the lesson would be learned. But before we let you go, I just wanted to get your hope with respect to the tariff case that is before the Supreme Court today. Trump says one of the most important cases in American history, the presidential power as it pertains to tariffs. What do you want the Supreme Court to do?
I'm not going to tell you what I want them to do because Donald Trump might be listening to the show, right? But look, I think Trump will. I think it's very likely Trump will lose. I would say it's likely to be a 6-3 or 7-2 decision against him. And look, I'm not saying this. I love Trump, as you know, and I'm a big Trump guy. But the Constitution is pretty clear. It's pretty clear in the language that all tax bills start in the House of Representatives, and tariffs are taxes. And as conservatives, we don't want the president to have a unilateral authority to raise taxes. I mean, would we want Kamala Harris to say, we've got a climate emergency, we're going to raise the income tax by 30 percentage points? So this would come back to haunt us. I think he will lose. And then when he loses, it's going to be a lot of chaos because then what happens? Do we have to pay back the money that the government has collected in tariff revenue? I think it'll be a nuanced decision. I think some of the tariffs, they'll say those are emergency tariffs. You have the power to do it. and others they will rescind. And, so it's going to be a mess that'll have to be cleaned up.
Steve Moore, economist, author of The Trump Economic Miracle and the Plan to Unleash Prosperity Again. Thanks, Steve.
Well, no, congratulations, Chicago. You're now not the most socialist city in America, so you have something to celebrate.
Very good. Thanks, Steve. Catch that flight.
Take care.
Thanks. Last flight out of Saigon. And Steve Moore joined us on the Turnkey.Pro answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
Text from 312 about moving the bull from Wall Street to Texas. Although Charlotte may have a claim, too. There's the new banking capital. But anyway, so as it pertains to moving the bull from Wall Street to Texas, no need to move the bull from New York City. The University of Texas mascot Bevo can serve double duty. Good point. Yeah, I like that. Business owners, is your company's cybersecurity ready to handle today's cyber attacks? They're getting more and more sophisticated every year. Some companies never recover due to the fallout. In 2021, a ransomware group called DarkSide gained access to Colonial Pipeline through a compromised password. The impact, $4.4 million paid in ransom. In 2017, Equifax had a massive breach, which ended up costing over $700 million in settlements. Large companies from Target and Yahoo to small businesses, including medical practices, have suffered major losses due to cyber attacks. Many had to close their doors. Access One is here to protect your business 24/7 year after year. Access One, they're a proud sponsor of Chicago's Morning Answer. These are the guys you can count on. Cybersecurity isn't just about IT, it's about protecting your survival and customer trust. If you're concerned about your cybersecurity, get a free baseline cybersecurity assessment from Access One by calling 1-800-654-1555 or filling out the contact form at accessoneinc.com. Access One is here in Chicago. Again, the number is 1-800-654-1555 to schedule your free baseline cybersecurity assessment, or visit them online at accessone, O-N-E, spell it out, accessoneinc.com.
Temperatures are cooling, but not concerns about inflation, market volatility, in Texas. Revisit your financial plan this fall. BestGen Wealth Partners work with individuals to develop personalized plans that help navigate changing conditions with confidence. Visit GetRetiredStayRetired.com to learn more.
Advisory services offered through BestGen Advisors, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Securities offered through Private Client Services, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC. Private Client Services and BestGen Advisors, LLC are unaffiliated entities. Any information discussed does not constitute investment advice. BestGen Advisors and Private Client Services do not offer tax legal advice.
I'm attorney Stephen Leahy. You heard my warning. Illinois tax amnesty is live now. It started October 1st and ends November 17th. For a short window, pay your qualifying back taxes, and the state will wipe out penalties and interest. No strings attached. But when November 17th hits, this deal is gone. If you're a 1099 worker, contractor, or small business owner, timing is everything. You need clear steps fast. Here's what to do. Go to fightbacknow.com and sign up for my free daily email. You'll get plain English updates, action steps, what qualifies, and the common mistakes that can cost you thousands. Free, daily, straight to your inbox. Get the free daily email now and follow along. Go to fightbacknow.com and sign up for the free daily email. That's fightbacknow.com, your step-by-step guide before the clock runs out November 17th.
Streaming services, retail chains, and tech giants are all adding Plus to their names. It's fairly obvious they were inspired by Hassellus Mattress. Hassellus showrooms are employee-free, plus unbeatable prices on Tempur-Pedic, plus free next-day delivery, plus 60-month interest-free financing on select Tempur-Pedic with approved credit, plus a $300 MasterCard gift card with your Tempur-Pedic mattress. Maybe we should change our name to Hassellus Plus. Find an employee-free showroom near you at hassellus.com.
From darkness to divine light, the Sag Bridge Mission Society brings you an engaging evening with author and evangelist Zachary King, a former high wizard Satanist who experienced a powerful conversion through the Blessed Mother and miraculous journey to Catholicism. Mr. King will teach how spiritual influences in modern culture can open doors to darkness and how to protect your family. Register now at sagbridgemissonsociety.org for one of 3 talks, Friday, November 21st at 7 p.m. for adults, Saturday, November 22nd at 7 p.m. for teens, and Sunday, November 23rd also at 7 p.m. Hosted by Anchor Young Adults Group for ages 20 to 35. All talks will be held at Sag Hall located at 100-600 Archer Avenue in Lamont, Illinois, near the corner of Route 83 and Archer Avenue. There's no charge for admission, but seating is limited. So register now. Visit sagbridgemissonsociety.org.
This past year has been one of the hardest in MyPillow's history. It's because of you that they are making it through. They want to thank you for your continued support by extending their wholesale prices on classic MyPillows. Get standard classic MyPillows for only $14.98. It gets even better. Upgrade to a queen size MyPillow for just $18.98. King size only $1 more, or multi-use pillows for only $9.98. Get body pillows for $29.98 with a free pillowcase. So go to mypillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY to take advantage of these wholesale prices, including the standard size MyPillow, originally $49.98, now only $14.98. Queens $18.98, Kings only $1 more. That's 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. Order $100 or more and your order ships absolutely free. We know MyPillow products come with a 10-year warranty, but MyPillow has just announced that they are extending their 60-day money-back guarantee. That's right. Orders placed between now and December 25th will have their 60-day money-back guarantee extended through March 1st, 2026.
When the power goes out, life stops. Heat, AC, fridge, phones, all gone. But with a Generac home standby generator from True Power Generator Service, your home powers back on automatically, so you're never left in the dark. Book your consultation today at TruePowerGenerator.com. That's TruePowerGenerator.com. Plus, 560 listeners get a free 10-year extended warranty. Terms and conditions apply. Call for details. True Power Generator Service and Generac. It's not just a generator, it's a power move.
If you're looking for a caring dentist and an experienced dental staff who'll treat you like family, then it's time to call Dr. Y at Oak Lawn Dental LLC. Dr. Yorks and his team will create a smile that you'll want to share with family and friends. Go to oaklawndentist.com for a complete list of services or call Oak Lawn Dental for an appointment with Dr. Y at 708-424-5700. And for a limited time, get a $100 credit on your new account. Call 708-424-5700. Oak Lawn Dental LLC for the smile you deserve.
AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Take heart, center-right individuals as well as conservatives, of course. There's a schism in the Democrat Party that's much more practical than the philosophical. Joe Manchin highlighted it recently while he was on The Daily Show explaining to Jon Stewart why West Virginia Democrats went with Trump and he won the state by 40 points all 3 times.
And I've told my Democrat friends, they said, Joe, what happened to the West Virginia Democrats? And I said, nothing. They want to know what happened to the Washington Democrats. And they said, what do you mean? I said, I can tell you why the union coal miners and all the factory workers that I grew up with, where they are today, why they switched and started voting Republican. They believe that the Democrat Party in Washington basically spends more resources, effort, and time on able-bodied people that don't work or won't work than you do those who do.
100%. And Ayanna Pressley just confirmed what those Democrats in West Virginia understand to be true.
First and foremost, this is the most corrupt administration in history. And then they're cruel enough to create work requirements for hungry people to get SNAP.
Can you imagine work requirements for welfare? It is now 8 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
The Fox News Alert. I'm Kathleen Maloney. President Trump reacting to election results where Democrats won big.
If you read the pollsters, the shutdown was a big factor, negative for the Republicans. And that was a big factor. And they say that I wasn't on the ballot was the biggest factor.
Democratic Socialist Zohran Mamdani going after the president while claiming victory as the next mayor of New York City. Fox's Peter Ducey has more.
Mamdani, just minutes after he won, is trying to send a message directly to the president.
Donald Trump, since I know you're watching, I have 4 words for you. Turn the volume up.
President Trump does not see these off-year elections as a referendum on his administration.
The government shutdown now in its 36th day. President Trump hosting Senate Republicans for breakfast this morning to talk about it. Voters in Virginia returned power to the Democrats. Fox's Alexandria Hoff with the details.
Abigail Spanberger was really seen as a moderate given the electorate of Virginia. She's a former congresswoman, also previously worked at the CIA as an operations officer. And she beat out Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earl Sears, a Republican in this race, by a 15-point margin. With Fox News polling showing that the economy dominated in terms of voter priorities. Now, Spanberger celebrated here in Richmond last night. In her closing message last night, Earl Sears told supporters that the American dream is still very much alive, that she is the embodiment of that, and that she's going to work with the incoming administration any way she can in order to make sure that Virginia is successful.
In New Jersey's gubernatorial race, Democrat Mikey Sherrill defeated Republican Jack Ciattarelli. California voters approved a set of temporarily redrawn congressional district maps designed to flip 5 Republican House seats into Democratic ones. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. 55 degrees in Chicago and AM 560 The Answer. I am John Cruz in the Quick Delivery Newsroom. We'll see a mix of sun with clouds today, high of 59 degrees, gusty winds in the afternoon. 19 people looking for a place to stay after a massive Northwest Side fire. This happened late Tuesday at a home off Troy Street. At one point, police had to shut down several streets around the area due to smoke. Dozens of firefighters finally got the blaze under control late Tuesday night. Several families lost not only possessions, but legal documents in the midst of immigration enforcement in the city. Police investigating after 2 people were found dead in a car in northwest suburban Crystal Lake. Authorities say officers responded early this morning to reports of 2 people asleep in a vehicle in the 700 block of Coventry Lane. A woman in her 20s and a 32-year-old man were found unresponsive with no clear signs of injury. Both people were pronounced dead at the scene. Chicago Transit Authority says they're getting tens of thousands of smoking complaints. CTA leaders say they received 14,000 email complaints through the agency's chat box over a 14-month period. The most issues on the Red Line with over 5,500 smoking complaints. Chicago Mayor Johnson's choice for the city's arts and cultural leader is out. The Chicago Tribune reporting that Department of Cultural Affairs and Special Events Commissioner Clinney Hedspeth resigned days after she left the mayor's office receiving an HR investigation that showed she violated ethnic, age-based, and sexual harassment rules. Now, Hedspeth denies the accusations. Reports say several employees accused her of bullying. She has been placed on the city's do not hire list. And the Champaign Township supervisor is stepping down this month. Kyle Patterson announcing he's resigning last night, citing health reasons. His resignation will take effect November 18th. When the township board is set to vote on accepting it, the township must appoint a new supervisor within 60 days. Think full mouth dental implants are too expensive? Think again, not at almostfreeteeth.com. With medical insurance, you could save thousands and receive your finally affordable dream smile. Check if you qualify today at almostfreeteeth.com. A check of your roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
I'm Liz Clayman, and this is the Fox Business Report.
McDonald's shares are down more than 0.5%. Earnings and revenue for the recent quarter were disappointing, but overall sales increased. McDonald's has been offering discounted meals to attract customers on tight budgets. Toyota is raising expectations for the year, even though it's dealing with tariffs. Its profit rose 62% from a year ago in recent months. The U.S. imposed a 25% tariff on foreign-made cars in April, though after a trade agreement with Japan, it was lowered to 15%. Restaurant company Dine Brands is reporting a mixed quarter. Sales at Applebee's rose more than 3%, though IHOP sales declined. Health insurer Humana says it is dealing with higher medical costs. It is lowering its full-year forecast. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Coselda. Invested in you.
Scott Jennings sees more pressure on the Democrats.
Major political problems for Democrats. The country's largest union representing federal workers is calling for Congress to pass a clean continuing resolution to get the government open again and to get federal workers paid. This will ratchet pressure up on the Democrats to perhaps give in.
The Scott Jennings Show. Weekdays at 1, right before Hugh Hewitt at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Whether you are old or young, no one likes to lose money. The market is at an all-time high. How much risk does your portfolio really have in it? Are you worried that you could lose your hard-earned money? Call TJ Stearns in Arlington Heights at 800-640-2256 for your free risk report. Call right now and we will include a full analysis of your portfolio. Don't wait until it's too late. Call TJ Stearns, a local and longtime sponsor on AM 560. Call 800-640-2256. Call now and tell him AM 560 sent you.
Temperatures are cooling, but not concerns about inflation, market volatility, and taxes. Revisit your financial plan this fall. BestGen Wealth Partners work with individuals to develop personalized plans that help navigate changing conditions with confidence. Visit GetRetiredStayRetired.com to learn more.
Advisory services offered through BestGen Advisors LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Securities offered through Private Client Services LLC, member FINRA and SIPC. Private Client Services and BestGen Advisors LLC are unaffiliated entities. Any information discussed does not constitute investment advice. BestGen Advisors and Private Client Services do not offer tax legal advice.
Medical professionals, is God calling you to contribute your medical skills for something more? Are you looking for better hours and a more flexible schedule? Since 2009, Waterleaf Women's Center in Aurora, Illinois has provided free and compassionate care to thousands of women facing an unplanned pregnancy. Due to the incredible growth of our ministry and the upcoming addition of wellness and prenatal services, we are seeking new members to join our medical team of doctors, nurses, and sonographers. Waterleaf offers a comfortable working environment, flexible hours, a Christ-centered approach, and a competitive salary. We consistently rank among the top-performing nonprofit pregnancy clinics in the nation, and our patient survey scores are phenomenal. For more information, please call Waterleaf Women's Center at 630-701-6270, 630-701-6270, or visit onechoiceonelife.org today. That website, onechoiceonelife.org, onechoiceonelife.org.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Ever wonder why the big wireless companies want you on an unlimited plan? It's because they need you to help cover the costs of the 20-somethings who are using a lot of data every month. Fact is, according to the latest research studies, most people 50 and up, like me, only use 12 gigs or less each month. Don't get bamboozled by big wireless. At Consumer Cellular, pick what suits your needs, whether it's 1 gig, 5, 10, or unlimited. The point is, pay for exactly what you need and nothing more. We use the same towers as the big guys, but since we don't own and maintain them, we can pass the savings on to you. Our plans start at just $20 a month, and you'll get the best customer service in the business. I want to invite you to join the millions of people who choose something better than big wireless, because if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. Stop and go delays on the inbound Eisenhower between Mannheim Road and Central Avenue with a collision blocking the right lane. So it's going to be 41 minutes inbound from Wolf to the old post office. Outbound is 30 minutes. You also have a crash on the Tri-State northbound at the Stevenson. Inbound Stevenson from the Tri-State to Lakeshore is 41 minutes. Outbound is 26. Slow on the inbound Dan Ryan from 95th to the Burn Interchange, 32 minutes. Outbound looks good at 11, but stop and go delays northbound on Lakeshore Drive as you head towards Hollywood Avenue. The Eden, not too bad. Inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose is 16 minutes. Outbound is 23. And the Kennedy slows down inbound from O'Hare to the Burn Interchange, 48 minutes. Outbound is 44. And then in downtown, watch out for a crash on Randolph Street at Columbus Drive. Traffic is a service of Turnkey. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will feature partly to mostly sunny skies with increasing wind. The high will reach 60. Tonight will be clear and colder with a low of 36. Tomorrow expect sun shining through high clouds with a high of 58. On Friday, there could be a shower in spots early in the morning. Otherwise, anticipate a mix of clouds and breaks of sun with a high temperature of 63. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
It's time for Animal Stories with Uncle Dan.
Tipping our cap to the late, great Larry Lujak, of course. This is supposed to be a leavening segment. Some relief from the heaviness of politics and policy and political philosophy, much of which we've been discussing this morning after yesterday's elections. But I'm afraid this one might be the source of even more consternation. Would you clone your dog? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Yesterday, it was revealed, I guess by a People magazine reporter, the paper of record on all things Tom Brady related. Tom Brady cloned his current dog, Junie, a clone of his late dog, Lua, who died in December of 2023. The dogs were cloned by Colossal Biosciences, which is a biotech company that Brady is an investor in, using blood collected prior to Lua's death 2 years ago. And Colossal, I guess, is the same company that gave us those dire wolf pups a few months back, if you remember. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line and text line. I love my animals. They mean the world to me and my family. A few years ago, I worked with Colossal Biosciences and leveraged their non-invasive cloning technology through a simple blood draw of our family's elderly dog before she passed. And Junie was born. Would you do it? I love, there's one of the responses is a picture from Pet Cemetery. I'm sure it'll all work out fine. Haha. I guess I shouldn't be surprised by this. What was that sheep Dolly that was cloned in Scotland? That's like got to be 20 years old, right? I mean, that had to be like 2 decades ago. So I guess I shouldn't be surprised about this, but I didn't know that this was a thing. And maybe it's just a thing for Tom Brady, but apparently not. I mean, there's a biotech company doing it. Huh. It's weird to me. Very weird to me. I don't know. And this is a bit of a reveal. I haven't said this on the air, but for those who know, I have a dog. I had a dog, Hayek, and I actually had to put him down a few weeks back because he got lymphoma, and we tried the treatments and stuff, but they didn't take, and so I had to put him down. But I never thought to take a blood sample for cloning purposes so I could have Hayek 2.0. That whole thing is weird to me. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Greg in LaGrange.
Morning, Dan. My answer would be no, absolutely not. I find it creepy. I find it bordering on trying to play God and trying to recreate life in an unnatural form. And it's when I saw it with Tom Brady, I wasn't surprised. But many others do it, but I couldn't do it. I just couldn't. It just doesn't feel right. It feels wrong for all the right reasons to me. I'm sorry to hear about Hayek.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, you know what? I just wonder. I mean, I hate to be cynical about this. I'm sure Brady loves his dogs and he doesn't see any moral quandary with this. But I just wonder, Colossal Biosciences, cloning dogs. I mean, you know how science moves through the animal kingdom into the human kingdom. And I wonder if Tom Brady has an eye towards cloning Tom Brady down the road.
That's what scares me. It's a pathway in.
Thanks for the call, Greg. Paul from Jefferson Park texting. A clone would essentially be a twin. It would look the same, but it would have a completely different personality. It's aesthetics only. Okay, but I guess that's not really the issue, is it? By the way, it looks like, I don't know what kind of, from the pictures, it looks like Brady's dog is some sort of pit bull mix. There's another problem with this, a related story for canine lovers. The eco-supremacists first want you to eliminate your children in utero, and then they don't want you to even attempt to have children generally because, of course, there's zero population growth, chicken littles. But it may also be time to get rid of your dogs, particularly the big ones. Uh-oh. I think, golden retriever on up. I think you may be in some trouble with those that are busily saving the planet. You thought this was over when Bill Gates sort of threw up his hands and said, okay, climate change isn't going to end the world, but it's not. The Associated Press story, pets contribute to greenhouse gases like us. Here's how to reduce their carbon paw print. Oh, you see what they did? They dogified it. Nothing like a little anthropomorphization from the AP to try to dress down a silly story. I know you've done the grocery bag thing and you've done the paper straws and you use just the one square of toilet paper like Sheryl Crow, and you're done with the dishwashing and using too much water for laundry and things like that. Get your solar panels up. But yeah, a little bit of a problem. The trend toward refrigerated, fresh, or even human-grade pet food can come with a price beyond the pet food budget. One of the most climate-intensive decisions we make. I don't think of these as climate-intensive decisions, but I'm not a member of the Associated Press. One of the most climate-intensive decisions we make is whether to own a pet. It's for the same reason that humans, we have a big impact. They eat every day. Billy Nichols is a pet food researcher with Bryant Research. He said the trend of using human-grade meat in pet food increases its climate impact because pets aren't just eating animal parts that would have otherwise gone unused. You see. The AP report notes Billy Nichols, the pet food researcher, notes that generally the smaller the pet, the smaller the carbon footprint. For some pets, size just doesn't change much. Most cat breeds fall into a narrow size range, but dogs can vary greatly in size, thus climate impact. Smaller dogs not only eat less, but create less waste and use crates and other accessories that require less material to make. Billy Nichols saying it matters a lot for the slightly obvious reason that a larger dog is going to be eating many, many more calories. So... Oh, by the way, it's noted at the bottom of the AP story. The Associated Press climate and environmental coverage receives financial support from multiple private foundations. I wonder what those foundations, the position of those foundations when it comes to eco-supremacy. Yeah, right. So you can not only maybe we'll have to have a size limit for the cloning, but we may have to start euthanizing dogs like above a certain size class in order to save the planet. You know, we rely on humans to euthanize themselves. That's what we're going to do in Illinois now, too, thanks to the legislation that was passed. And that, to reduce that climate footprint that humankind makes. But, dogs are, instinctively less likely to commit suicide. So this is where the owners are going to have to step in. I mean, to save the planet, right? Love to hear from some owners of large dogs on this one. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro. Answer line. Harmon in Arlington Heights.
Hi. The first comment I want to make is cloning shouldn't be such a mystery to us. You aren't going to get your dog back. Anybody who knows a set of identical twins knows who clones. And to say that they're the same is absolutely ridiculous. And to think you're going to get your dog back is absolutely ridiculous. There is far more than genetics involved.
What if you dress them alike? Does that help?
Actually, you can still tend to tell the difference between them based upon their behavior.
Yes, I know, but so then that prompts the question: why not just get another dog, get another pit bull mix rather than cloning?
Absolutely. I mean, it's a ridiculous waste of money. You do not get your, in quotes, dog back.
Thanks for the call, Harmon. Fortunately for Tom Brady, he has a ridiculous amount of money to waste. Dave in Barrington.
Morning, Dan. Got an alternative to cloning. Simply just use taxidermy. Your dog can stay with you for the rest of your life.
Yeah. That's a little creepy to me too, though, Dave. I don't know. Taxidermy, I think for sort of trophy, as a trophy, like, catching the marlin off the coast of Florida or something. But even that, I don't know. It's a little, that's not my speed. But a picture will do. I don't know. Bob in Buffalo Grove.
Good morning, Dan. Always good talking to you. Similar to a previous caller, in 2019, we lost our dog of 13 years, and my wife decided to go look at the animal shelters to find a replacement that looked almost identical. And in 2020, we found one that had the same facial features, but a little bit different personality. And we had 4 great years with him, and now we're working on our 4th rescued dog, which is a totally different animal that we have. See you on Sunday, Saturday.
All right, Bob. We'll see you at Freedom Palooza, whatever we call it. Text from 773. We not only have 8 kids, 2 grandkids, we also have a 110-pound rescue dog. Uh-oh. Don't worry, 773. I won't disclose your location so the eco-supremacists don't come for you. Debbie, Northside, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hi. I'm calling because I have a Great Dane, and I also work with a Great Dane Rescue. I've had up to 3 Great Danes at a time, and my current Great Dane is 140 pounds, and I would never euthanize her for the sake of saving the planet.
All right, we're all going down with you and your Great Dane. All right, Debbie, I got it.
Thank you.
Thanks for the call. Robin in Tony, Alabama.
Yeah, hi, Dan. I've always rescued dogs. I have 3 black labs right now. I'm wondering about the carbon footprint for obese people. There's got to be a lot, right? They're putting down a lot of food. At some point, are we ever going to realize just how inane these people are? They're out of their flipping mind. That's all I have to say.
Thanks for the call, Rob. At some point, you would think, especially when you get into all these cross currents and complications, but then that's just where you have to go to the intersectional score, and it's your comp score. It's like there's different parts to the identitarian politics and the orthodoxy of the left, and you have to add up the scores for each module of leftism to see if you make the cut or not. I guess that's how it's going to be. James in Westmont.
Morning, Dan. Sorry about Hayek. Those are nice dogs, if I remember correctly. Yeah, no problem. Well, fortunately, my dog's only 8 pounds, so I don't have to worry about too much carbon footprint. Well, these people clone themselves and then off their clones. I think that's a good solution.
Yeah, okay. Thanks for the call. It seems a bit gratuitous, but we're in this sort of sci-fi arena, I suppose. Bob in Waukegan.
Yeah, first of all, I got to say I love your show, and second of all, after listening to all the people call in today, I'm glad that God gave me enough brains to be a conservative. My comment was there's the movie out with Michael Keaton and Annie McDowell called Multiplicity, where Keaton clones himself 4 times in a row because he's got so much stuff to do that he can never get to it. Clone number 1 turns out really good, and then 3 and 4 are missing some brain cells. So I would say that, like you did, that Tom Brady has an obscene amount of money, and I don't think ethics plays any part in his life, pretty much, unless it's with raising his kids, maybe.
Yeah, Multiplicity, that's a good call. It sort of has a little bit of a Substance feel to me, too. The horror movie that Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley, the younger and the older. That's more of a Dorian Gray, Fountain of Youth kind of thing, but it's sort of the same, area. Sunny in Lincoln Park.
Yeah, Dan, I was wondering, after 28 years and divorcing my wife, I was wondering, can I unleash her and clone her on somebody else?
It's an enemy of yours? Thanks for the call, Sonny. I'm not sure. I mean, you may want to run that by Tom Brady and or Colossal Biotech, Colossal Biosciences, to see what they have. Get their Christmas catalog. Maybe that's in there. Jordan in Antioch.
Morning, Dan. Sorry to hear about Hyde. Losing a pet sucks.
Yeah,
yeah. As far as the cloning, that's where I was going. Have you not seen Multiplicity? I'm not taking that risk with my Labrador. There's no way he can get any more intellectually retarded. And my German. No, and it's just part of getting a dog and learning their personalities and you guys growing together. That's all part of it. So, and as far as the cloning or getting rid of the big dogs, if you've had a little dog and never had a big dog, I suggest you get a big dog because little dogs bring nothing to the table. And if you want to euthanize my 85-pound German Shepherd, I'm not going to do it. But I will put him in the yard, and I will give you the leash, and you're welcome to try to get him to get in the truck with you. I would really enjoy watching that. That would be awesome. Have a good day. Sorry again about Hayek.
Thanks, Jordan. Appreciate it. Dan Proft, Chicago's Morning Answer.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Let me take a moment to talk about my friends at QC Kinetics. They're helping so many listeners regain their mobility free from joint pain. Does this sound like you? Where every time you move, it's a reminder of what hurts? A reminder of how far you've drifted from the life you once had? Well, relief is closer than you think, and it doesn't have to come from surgery. At QC Kinetics, Dr. Caravelli and her team tap into your body's own regenerative power using natural healing factors that help restore and repair damaged tissue, reduce inflammation, and relieve pain at its source. Stop masking the pain. Let QC Kinetics help you regain what pain took away. And this Veterans Day, QC Kinetics is giving back to our heroes. Veterans will get $500 off their treatment. And for every non-veteran who starts care, QC Kinetics will donate $500 to the Wounded Warrior Project. It's a great time to book your free consultation to learn how QC Kinetics can help. Call 312-827-6261. That's 312-827-6261. Once more, that phone number, 312-827-6261, and tell them I sent you when you call. Let me tell you about a proud new sponsor of Chicago's Morning Answer, that is, Access One IT Services and Support. Chicago business owners, listen up. Your phone, internet, and IT should work well 24/7. When it doesn't, who are you calling? An overseas help desk? Why would you do that? If you want clear, reliable local experts, consider Chicago's best, Access One. Access One has been powering Chicago businesses with secure, reliable IT solutions for more than 30 years from their headquarters in the West Loop. Whether it's voice-over IP phones, dedicated internet, managed cybersecurity, cloud backups, or 24/7 support, Access One has you covered. Access One is Chicago-owned, Chicago-run, and serves thousands of companies from Naperville to the North Shore and everywhere in between. Access One is rated top 5% in customer satisfaction and trusted by law firms, clinics, tech startups, and manufacturers. If you're in business, make sure your IT works well every day. Start a conversation about your business needs today by calling Access One at 1-800-654-1555. That number again, 800-654-1555. Or visit them online at accessoneinc.com. That's Access One, the number spelled out, accessoneinc.com. And tell them AM 560 sent you when you do. Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Bob Chivato, owner of Go Exceed and a customer of Signature Bank. By leveraging AI and machine learning, we provide data management solutions for corporations to save time and money managing their cellular devices. While we rely on machines to help us run our business, we believe personal relationships are essential. This is why we chose Signature Bank. Having a banking partner who understands our background, our business, and our priorities is fundamental to our success. Any bank can provide basic services, But having a bank that you could trust, one that looks out for you and treats your business like its own, that's irreplaceable.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Call Signature Bank at 773-467-5600 or visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the Relief Hotline at 800-515-1865. 800-515-1865. 800-515-1865.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up at 8:38, we'll talk to Dan Henninger, writer for the Wall Street Journal editorial page. We'll talk about last night's election results and the shutdown, and a little bit more on that huge tariff case before the Supreme Court. Oral arguments today. All at 8:38. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. 54 degrees in Chicago and AM 560 The Answer. I'm John Cruz in the AlmostFreeTeeth.com newsroom. Mainly sunny and 59 today. A pedestrian hit and killed in suburban Lincolnshire late last night, leading a busy Milwaukee Avenue to close during rush hour. Upon arrival, officers found an 81-year-old man had been hit by a vehicle. Despite life-saving efforts, the pedestrian was pronounced dead. That driver did stay and cooperate with police. Flight delays continue at major airports across the country, including Chicago O'Hare, as the federal shutdown enters its second month. Early this morning, 22 flights were reported delayed at O'Hare, according to Fly Chicago. A day earlier, the number of delayed flights at O'Hare, 145. And students at a suburban Chicago high school finished the week through remote learning after a car crashes into their school. This happened Tuesday afternoon at Burbank St. Lawrence High School. No injuries reported as classes let out for the day. The district determined that remote learning would be the best option. The investigation there continues. Think full mouth dental implants are too expensive? Think again, not at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. With medical insurance, you could save thousands and receive your finally affordable dream smile. Check if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of your roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Hugh Hewitt explains how crazy things were before Trump.
What Special Prosecutor Jack Smith was trying to do before the election ended what he was doing. Whistleblower has turned over evidence of 197 subpoenas that went out from Jack Smith. In other words, you had a maniac running the investigation appointed by Merrick Garland with no oversight. A maniac.
The Hugh Hewitt Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Salem News Channel is America's fastest growing conservative TV network.
It's an absolute crazy day.
Home to the largest lineup of free speech champions anywhere. Delivering in-depth insight and unapologetic opinion on today's biggest news stories.
Americans aren't going to put up with this anymore.
SNC brings you the news that matters, told with integrity and clarity. Watch Salem News Channel free 24/7 on your television. Stream now on Pluto TV.
Feel that chill in the air? Now's the perfect time to layer up. The outerwear shop is now open at Untuckit with sharp new jackets and vests made for this season and beyond. You'll find all the right layers to keep you warm and looking sharp, including cozy sweaters, sweatshirts, and more. But hurry, fall weather won't wait, and neither should you. So don't miss the outerwear shop, open now at Untuckit.com in more than 80 stores worldwide. Untuckit, shirts designed to be worn Untucked.
This past year has been one of the hardest in MyPillow's history. It's because of you that they are making it through. They want to thank you for your continued support by extending their wholesale prices on classic MyPillows. Get standard classic MyPillows for only $14.98. It gets even better. Upgrade to a queen size MyPillow for just $18.98. King size only $1 more, or multi-use pillows for only $9.98. Get body pillows for $29.98 with a free pillowcase. So go to mypillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY to take advantage of these wholesale prices, including the standard size MyPillow, originally $49.98, now only $14.98. Queens $18.98, Kings only $1 more. That's 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. Order $100 or more and your order ships absolutely free. We know MyPillow products come with a 10-year warranty, but MyPillow has just announced that they are extending their 60-day money-back guarantee. That's right. Orders placed between now and December 25th will have their 60-day money-back guarantee extended through March 1st, 2026.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. Inbound on the Eden from Lake Cook to Montrose, 15 minutes. Outbound 23. The Kennedy, very slow. Inbound from O'Hare to the Byrne Interchange, 48 minutes. Outbound is 47. The Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office is 42 minutes. Outbound is 29. The Stevenson slows down inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore, 36 minutes. Outbound is 22. And slow on the Dan Ryan inbound from 95th to the Byrne Interchange, 31 minutes. Outbound is 12. Now you want to avoid driving through Chicago's Loop on Dearborn Avenue between Van Buren Street and Jackson Boulevard. There is a protest going on, so lots of police activity. This report is sponsored by Mattress Firm. Need better sleep? Score huge deals on your perfect bed at Mattress Firm's Black Friday sale. Stop in today and let the sleep experts find the right upgrade for your unique needs. Mattress Firm. They make sleep easy. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be partly to mostly sunny with increasing winds reaching a high of 60. Tonight, expect clear skies and colder temperatures dropping to a low of 36. Tomorrow, anticipate sun shining through high clouds with a high of 58. Friday may see a shower in spots early, then a mix of clouds and breaks of sun with a high of 63. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Croft here. And, of course, yesterday, for the races that were decided, we have two important mayor's races that are still pending in Mogadishu, Minnesota. It used to be called Minneapolis. I think it went by that name. It's been a minute. And in Seattle, which will be interesting because they somewhat mirror the Mamdani-Cuomo matchup in New York City, although there really is no Cuomo. There's just sort of Mamdani and Mamdani light square-offs in Minnesota and Washington State. But for those that are in on the Eastern Seaboard, the message was what you sort of expect. It's a referendum on Trump. You had Mikey Sherrill in New Jersey talking about Lady Liberty and no kings. An interesting message on the immigration issue, particularly when you look at the exit polling in New York, where immigration voters actually went against Mamdani by 26 points. It was cost of living where he dominated. And Spanberger in Virginia pretended to be pragmatic. Well, she certainly was pragmatic enough to bob and weave around her positions, as well as any sort of opprobrium she was asked to deliver in the direction of Jay Jones, the Attorney General candidate who sent all those texts wishing death upon his political opponents and their children. He managed to eke out a 1-point victory as well. But at the end of the day, for all the bloviation from pundits about the implications, these races are the home team heavily favored holding their own. winning at home as heavy favorites, as home favorites are wont to do. So what this means for the shutdown, what it means for the midterms, I think the extrapolation is a little overwrought. It's much more interesting to me, the schism within the Democrat Party, as represented by AOC, saying now everybody better wake up and make room for us because, and that's talking to you, Chuck Schumer, and any other old war horses, we're the party now. That's what she said on CNN last night. Whereas Mark Penn, former Hillary Clinton pollster, had this to say about the results in New York City.
Well, I agree with them. Essentially, what's happened here is the DSA has glommed onto the Democratic Party and said, hey, we're Democrats. And unfortunately, the DNC leadership has said, sure, come on in. Right. It doesn't really matter if you believe things that are completely antithetical to core Democratic principles. We're welcoming you if you win elections. I think that's a crazy position for a party. It's ultimately fundamentally destructive. I always remind people that in 1972 and 1984, the Democratic Party managed to reduce itself to a single state, and we could be headed for another wave. I mean, look, we see what happened in Chicago. There was a clear choice. They chose the candidate farther to the left, and now the entire city is in an uproar because of the results that they've gotten. These cities with these mayors are going to get worse results, and this I think, trend has the real capability to take the party even further down, which, let's face it, it's out of power in all branches of government precisely because it's moved too far to the left.
Yeah, there's a blue wave, as Politico characterized it this morning. Blue wave in blue states? Okay. This celebration may be real premature because if New York City continues to trend in the direction of, say, Chicago, and Seattle and Mogadishu, Minnesota follow suit, then there may be a lot of unhappy metropolitan residents come November of 2026. For more on this, pleased to be joined by writer for the Wall Street Journal editorial page, Dan Henninger. Dan, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good to be with you, Dan.
What do you make of what Mark Penn had to say? Enjoy last night's victories for now, but there is a gathering storm.
Well, there's going to be a gathering competition, that's for sure. The Democratic Socialist, Ocasio-Cortez, and the rest of them, Mamdani, certainly are going to argue that the party is moving to the left. And to some extent, it has been moving to the left. Let's not forget that in the previous election, when Bernie Sanders, during the Democratic primaries, looked like he was going to win the nomination, the party moderates, Jim Clyburn in South Carolina, stepped in and anointed Joe Biden as the so-called centrist candidate who could win national elections. But Bernie's accomplishments were real. He was getting the same kind of votes, I would say, that Mamdani got yesterday. So that tranche of the Democratic Party is out there. It exists. Against that, though, Dan, you really do have to recognize the reality of Cheryl's win in New Jersey and Spanberger in Virginia. They did not run to the left. And these are basically blue states, as you said. But on the other hand, when you run at a larger electorate, not a specialized electorate like, say, Chicago's or New York City's, it looks as though Democrats do have to moderate their appeal somewhat. And that is going to be the argument, I think, inside the party as they go towards the midterm elections. They nominate candidates who are going to reflect democratic socialism, and in which case I think Mark Penn is right. They'll get their heads handed to them, or do they find a way to moderate? And the question during the midterms is going to be the one we have now. It's going to be affordability. Is it going to be whether inflation is still on people's minds? And it is indeed going to be the cost, I dare say, of Trump's tariffs.
Yeah, I want to get to the tariff case before the court today, oral arguments before the court today. But just on the Spanberger and Cheryl running as moderates with a lot of help from the media calling them moderates, you're right in terms of the market position. But then it seems to me the challenge is, and I thought Chitterelli did a pretty good job of it, the challenge is to actually expose the record. And this relatively transparent flim-flam, which is I govern with the DSA in terms of the policy positions I take, and you look at Spanberger and Sherrill's record, it hardly mirrors John Fetterman. And then I run as a moderate in these larger, I mean, not congressional districts maybe as necessary, but certainly swing districts as well as elections. Then I'm gonna run that way. And so Republicans have a job ahead of them, which is to make sure that you don't get away being one person in D.C., for example, or in a state house, and another person when you're presenting yourself for a higher office.
Yeah, that should be the case. I think overwhelmingly what happened here is that Democrats came home. In New Jersey, Mikey Sherrill got 81% of her party's 2024 vote, while Chitterelli only got 70% of Trump's tally in New Jersey that year. So Democrats were moving into their party, and it's just impossible for me, Dan, to avoid the reality of the one person in American politics who is always there, and that's Donald Trump. Trump did very well in New Jersey 4 years ago or 2 years ago, and his approval rating in New Jersey is now 42%. Chitterelli got 43%. Trump's approval in Virginia is 39%, and Earl Sears got 42%. A lot of Democrats felt they had an opportunity here after what they've been through with the Trump presidency to vote against Trump. And the Democratic candidates, I think, benefited from that. And to my mind, Dan, there is a question now for the Republican Party of whether it consists of a one-man show in Donald Trump, or whether there is something else beyond Trump that Republican candidates are going to have to think about. Trump has accomplished a lot. He's a major figure in Republican politics. But the reality is he draws all attention to himself, to one person. And I'm just raising the question of whether the broader Republican Party's image and brand has been diminished somewhat as a result of the Trump-centric focus this past year.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, I said something earlier in the show that I'll repeat, but I saw Trump's post on Truth Social that, explaining the losses in New Jersey and Virginia, but I think particularly New Jersey, where he weighed in more heavily for Chitterelli, is, Trump wasn't on the ballot. That is... That's not something to celebrate. That's something to be critical of. He shouldn't be saying, so it's not my fault. What he should, because all you're doing then is you're saying, I'm Obama. I'm good at getting myself elected and nobody else. And so what is that? That to me seems to be what the rethinking needs to be. There's no question with the numbers, the approval ratings, as you said, he becomes a bit of an albatross around statewide candidates there. It's tough to separate yourself from the highest profile person in your party, and particularly when there's not a lot of separation on the underlying issues and it's so much just about personality. Between, the Republican candidates at the state level and Trump at the national level. This idea, I have no responsibility when people lose because people didn't come out because I'm not on the ballot. Well, right. So what are you doing to get your people out for candidates down ballot? Don't you want to win those races?
Yeah, that's right. And that's going to be the name of the game in the midterm elections. The Democrats now have got to be feeling pretty good about the possibility of taking back the House, especially through swing districts. And Trump's presidency, at least on the domestic side, pretty much will be over if he loses control of Congress. So I think he's got to, I don't know, it's hard to suggest that Trump should do anything because it pretty much runs everything through his own personality. But it's really obvious that this party has got to have more of a sense of a public brand than just Trump. It does not look like it's going to be enough in states that are going to be, or districts that are going to be in play in the midterms next year.
Although the flip side of that is the evasive action that Trump is taking and instigating, which is all these redistricting efforts in red states. And obviously, after Prop 50 in California passing yesterday, there'll be one in California. But if all those if the red states that Trump wants to redistrict go the way of Texas, then that should be a net positive for Republicans. And that's one thing you can do to sort of change the balance of power on the map.
It could. We'll see how that works out. What California has just done is really quite gross. It looks like Darrell Issa, an excellent Republican congressman, is being redistricted out of his seat. Republicans will pay a price for that. Issa is a good spokesman for his party. So it's going to be interesting. I think, the issue that was at the center of this, as you mentioned, Dan, was affordability. And affordability cuts both ways. Zoran Mamdani won on affordability. But looking at what Mamdani intends to do, one may conclude that affordability in New York City is only going to get worse. That candidate, Mamdani, was very much the kind of mirror image of Brandon Johnson in Chicago. Mamdani is a union guy, fundamentally. The teachers' unions, the healthcare unions, they're the ones who are going to be running this city, and indeed the construction unions. Costs in New York are not going to go down. They're going to go up. And Mamdani is the one who's going to have to bear responsibility for that. So, the question of people's expenses could cut both ways when we get to the midterms, when you've got a highly visible public official like Zoran Mamdani presiding over a city whose cost of living is undoubtedly going to get worse.
If moving to that Supreme Court case, oral arguments on the tariff case today, if, as many expect, at least some of what Trump has done unilaterally with tariffs is struck down by the court, do you get the sense that House and Senate Republicans are ready to move to sort of backfill legislatively what Trump had done through executive action to sort of ensure seamlessness here?
I don't know whether it will quite be seamlessness, Dan. My guess is that what you're suggesting is right. This is going to be ultimately a very Solomonic decision by the Supreme Court. I don't think even the conservative justices are going to ratify every tariff that Trump has attempted under this Emergency Powers Act. Some of these reciprocal tariffs, which he has done in the name of the deficit being an emergency, I don't think those are going to be upheld. On the other hand, some related to the drug scourge, which could arguably be called an emergency, that might fall under the purview of the act that he's been citing to defend his tariffs. This Supreme Court has, in many cases, insisted, at least the conservatives have, that Congress be clear about its intentions when writing the laws, that Congress, which is in a state of dysfunction now, has to step forward and reassert its proper role in the political balance in this country. And I think that is probably what they're going to tell Congress to do ultimately when they decide this case. And whether Congress will be able to do that as currently constituted and do it quickly, by the way, remains to be seen. But I don't think you're going to see the Republicans in Congress simply write something that gives the presidency the limitless powers that Trump was claiming under this tariff regime.
Dan Henninger is a writer for the Wall Street Journal's editorial page. Dan, thank you as always. Appreciate your time.
Great to talk to you, Dan. Bye-bye.
You too. And Dan Henninger joined us on the Turnkey.Pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
Let me take a moment to talk about my friends at QC Kinetics. They're helping so many listeners regain their mobility free from joint pain. Does this sound like you? Where every time you move, it's a reminder of what hurts? A reminder of how far you've drifted from the life you once had? Well, relief is closer than you think, and it doesn't have to come from surgery. At QC Kinetics, Dr. Caravelli and her team tap into your body's own regenerative power using natural healing factors that help restore and repair damaged tissue, reduce inflammation, and relieve pain at its source. Stop masking the pain. Let QC Kinetics help you regain what pain took away. And this Veterans Day, QC Kinetics is giving back to our heroes. Veterans will get $500 off their treatment. And for every non-veteran who starts care, QC Kinetics will donate $500 to the Wounded Warrior Project. It's a great time to book your free consultation to learn how QC Kinetics can help. Call 312-827-6261. That's 312-827-6261. Once more, that phone number, 312-827-6261, and tell them I sent you when you call.
Sean Thompson here, and I'm with attorney Bert Hochberg from the law firm of Schiller, Ducanto, and Fleck. We're talking about divorce arbitration. This is not really a new, or is it a new, innovative way to go through divorce?
Arbitration has been around for decades. It's completely legit and available to resolve divorce cases. The litigants and their lawyers sign an arbitration agreement. They identify what the issues are, and we set up dates, and we determine what experts and witnesses there may be. Arbitration is a hearing, a trial that is intended to finish a case efficiently with limited appeal, with a binding decision, and it's confidential, so it has some great characteristics.
I think it's a unique alternative to divorce. For more information, please visit sdflaw.com and type Bert Hochberg into the search box. That's sdflaw.com or call direct 773-255-6150.
When the power goes out, life stops. Heat, AC, fridge, phones, all gone. But with a Generac home standby generator from True Power Generator Service, your home powers back on automatically, so you're never left in the dark. Book your consultation today at TruePowerGenerator.com. That's TruePowerGenerator.com. Plus, 560 listeners get a free 10-year extended warranty. Terms and conditions apply. Call for details. True Power Generator Service and Generac. It's not just a generator, it's a power move.
At Signature Bank, going the distance for business banking customers is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, a plan for growth, and don't have time to wait for a bank to respond. With Signature Bank, you not only have a banking partner that has roots right here in Chicago, but our decisions are made locally too. Signature Bank knows that when you have a question or problem about your business, you want answers. You need someone who will pick up the phone or respond to your text. You need someone who is always there for you. That's Signature Bank. We are a team that wants to get to know you and your business. Want to be Signature Bank's next success story? Give us a call today at 773-467-5630 or visit us online at signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Our veterans are our heroes. They answered the call to defend our freedom, putting their lives on the line for our nation. But today, thousands of those brave men and women are facing something no hero should ever face: food insecurity. That's where Farm to Veteran comes in. Through the Fulcrum Farm Foundation, this remarkable organization delivers farm fresh, nutritious food directly to veterans in need through veteran services and organizations. From greenhouse-grown produce to eggs, they're ensuring our heroes have access to the high-quality food they deserve. But Farm to Veteran can't do it alone. They need our help. Your financial contribution directly supports their mission to feed more veterans across their growing network of partner farms nationwide. And there's another way you can make a difference. Join them at their upcoming community events. Visit farmtoveteran.com today. That's veteran.com to donate or learn about events near you. Because those who served our country shouldn't have to wonder where their next meal is coming from. Let's stand with those who stood for us. That's veteran.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Since Dan Henninger brought it up, talking about the drug interdiction and the strikes against narco-terrorists, which has been somewhat controversial. Trump receiving criticism from libertarians like Rand Paul, as well as some on the left. But it's a 75-25 issue in Trump's direction. Alex Karp is the CEO of Palantir. His latest book, by the way, The Technological Republic, is pretty good, if you want to check that out. This is what he had to say about that on a Palantir company call recently.
By the way, let me say something slightly political, and I'm not saying other people agree with this, but when people are attacking our soldiers for stopping fentanyl from coming to this country. I want people to remember, if fentanyl was killing 60,000 Yale grads instead of 60,000 working class people, we'd be dropping a nuclear bomb on whoever was sending it from South America. So, it's slightly like we in this at Palantir, we are on the side of the average American who sometimes gets screwed because all the empathy goes to elite people, and none of it goes to the people who are actually dying on our streets. And that's why, it's like when you have an open border, it means that the average poor American earns less. I know my fellow progressives believe having an open border is going to make things, but that's because they're actually repping elite people instead of the working class. And the same thing in South America, it's like, to believe our Constitution does not give us a right to stop 60,000 deaths a year of working class men and women is insane. And this country is right to stop that, and I am very proud. I don't know all the efforts we're involved in, but to the extent we're involved in these efforts, I and most Palantirians are very proud of this.
Well, it's a good thought to end the show on today. Back tomorrow with more. It is now 9 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
Are the Trump tariffs legal? I'm Kathleen Maloney, Fox News. The U.S. Supreme Court is set to hear arguments in a landmark case over President Trump's executive